So, good evening, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the CG podcast. Happy Monday to everyone. We're here talking everything Arsenal. Yeah, it's one of those ones, guys. Another week. Um, Listen, we're going to be going through where we're all at right now as Arsenal fans and looking into Arsenal as a whole, of course. Talking about the game on the weekends, more drop points at the Emirates, Everton. Very disappointing result. We're talking about Arsenal season overall in terms of what to expect next and where do we go from here. And of course, we're going to be looking ahead. We got a Wednesday night game against Palace in the Carabao Cup quarterfinals in that one. So, yeah, we got just us three, Rory and Dom, joining me today. How you guys doing apart from Arsenal? It seems like I'm saying that quite a while now. Quite often it seems like this season. But how you guys doing anyway?
Yeah, it is what it is, right? It just takes one result to turn it around. But I'm excited by your new sponsor, Josh. Old Maybelline for your eyes, mascara.
Yeah, guys.
It's really great to get a new big sponsor on.
Guys, we're going places, yeah? We're going places. Listen, this is the first thing that Rory said to me, yeah? When I got on the panel. You know, I said straight away, yeah? Literally, I didn't even notice. Have you been beaten up? That's the first thing he said. He thought I got beaten up. Basically, guys, you can tell, yeah, I'm not wearing no mascara. I had to put all my history, right?
I love it the fact you thought people were thinking that.
I basically elbowed in the face, people, yeah? I couldn't see from my eye for about 5 minutes, people. But yeah, anyway, that's why I've got a black eye.
I thought it was to give us a good impression of Trossard, you know. I was like, what's going on?
I didn't realise Josh booted the ball away.
You jokers. But no, guys, big up the chat as always. Make sure you guys get your thoughts in. Yeah, I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. There is no popcorn settings for today, Wookie, mate.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean,
I can start an argument in an empty room.
Talk about, man. I think we've got quite a bit of interesting, topics to talk about, which I want to get into. But yeah, no sense there, unfortunately, guys. He can't make it. No Cooper as well today. No Tom. So it's only us three. But all good. Tom's in the chat. Big up to him as well. But guys, get your thoughts in down below. Let's start with obviously the game on the weekends. 0-0 draw against Everton at the Emirates. More points dropped this season. We saw it this season with the Brightons. We saw it with the Newcastles, the Bournemouths, the Fulham last week, and now again Everton this week. Going into the game just quickly, I was really happy with it. I actually wasn't fussed about the lineup. I was actually really happy with it. Seeing Timber playing right back, seeing Skelly. I think Skelly deserved his start after how he performed against Monaco. Gabriel being back in the team, I was like, you know what, feeling really confident as you would going into the game against Everton. And the thing is, guys, yeah, we know how Everton will play against Arsenal. We've seen the way how they play this season. I think the only way that's going to threat us was from the set pieces because they scored the second behind us in terms of they scored 8 set pieces this season. So that was the only really threat going into the game I had from them. But it was so underwhelming. It was so flat. It was so lethargic for me. And it's the same problem again in the final thirds, it seems like, in this attack. When Saka ain't firing, for me, it was just toothless to watch that performance there. I kind of felt like Arteta again made some poor decisions, in my opinion. Bringing on Partey at right back when you needed a goal, bringing on Jorginho, where I think is some way you see out the game more than you go for actually go for a game. Let's have a sub. You're taking off Odegaard. Odegaard, I thought had a really bad game, guys, but. You've been on Wanyeri. Everton bet offered nothing in the game going forward. They was going to defend them, but very happy with the point. We've not gone attack and just go at them. That's why I look at some of the decisions, some of the subs there as well. And it's kind of like we had no plan B, and we had no idea. It seemed like we could have been there till next week, and we still wouldn't have scored for me. Let's just have it right, guys. It was very, very, and that's kind of in our problems, guys. But credit to Everton as well. I thought against the Emirates, they defended really well and they made it very frustrating for us. And that is more points dropped this season and a big opportunity missed because Liverpool drew to Fulham as well. And Man City lost again to Man United. And now Chelsea got above us, of course, and 3 points of Liverpool, isn't it, as they beat Brentford as well. So I'm gonna start things off with Dom. Listen, Dom, more points dropped this season. Let us know, obviously, where you're at with that performance and what do you make of the game overall and that result, man.
I mean, let's start with the positive. Everton played very well. I mean, but you're exactly right. Look, Everton played well. They were never going to do anything different. They don't have anything different. They were always going to come and sit. And you're exactly right. There is a genuine issue in this team right now with breaking down the low block. We did it against Manchester United with the corners, and the corners are fine as your sort of plan C. We're not your plan C, it runs alongside your plan A, right? But you can't always rely on it. But we've seen it a few times this season in terms of the failure to break down the low block. And that's going to become an issue because you're going to have to win these games more often than not. And you're exactly right. I was absolutely fine with the lineup. I'd have had no issue. As I say, we're going to have to rotate Timber and Partey at right back for the next few weeks. That's fine. I can live with that. No one wants it, but that's going to happen. But I felt this was important after the Fulham result to play Timber at right back because that's your best right back. Side was balanced. I think Moreno does provide more balance in the midfield. Is he a better player than Partey right now in midfield? Of course not. But I think the side looks more balanced. I like Rice at 6 rather than 8. So I think the lineup was absolutely fine. I think you could have switched Trossard in for Martinelli or Sterling in for Martinelli against Everton. I would have gone with one of those two over Martinelli just because of the way Everton play. But otherwise, lineup was would have been what I would have picked. But there was just no creativity, no spark, no nothing. And okay, I can live with that for the first half. You've got control. You're trying to probe. You're trying to find where the weaknesses are. Sometimes it can take a little bit longer to go through. But you contrast it to Liverpool, and forget whether they had 10 men or not against Fulham. They was like the Alamo. They were throwing everything at it. We didn't do that at all. There was no tempo. It looked like we were happy playing for the point. I mean, obviously we weren't, but do you know what I mean? And that I think is what makes it disappointing. So as a performance, it's definitely really, really, it's arguably our poorest result of the season. You can look at the poor results and go, Bournemouth, yeah, okay, but we played with 10 men for a while. You can look at even those results, like Newcastle, where you're missing all your best players, right? Not all of them, but you know what I mean. This one, we were pretty much at full strength there, and created nothing. And last week, I felt it was more on the players than the manager. I know there was debates about the fullback positions. I think that was what cost us or not the game, and I understood the thinking. However, he made changes. He made the right changes. He tactically switched it up. It all made sense. This time, I think he got the decisions wrong. And he said after the game that Rice came off because he was carrying something. Okay, no problem with that, right? You need to, if you're managing Rice through at the moment, you're managing Rice through. I got the decision to take Odegaard off on one level, which is he's having a poor game, but he's also, I get it on one level. I understand why, but I think it is the wrong substitution in that moment because yes, Odegaard is having a poor game, but he's also one of a couple of players that can create something out of nothing. And at that moment in time, there is absolutely, Nwaneri is an exciting player. We're pleased to see more of him. And it was the only plus side of that was that Arteta trusted Nwaneri in that moment for a lot more minutes than we've seen in most games.
That's true.
But that's the only plus side. But you can't take Odegaard off in that scenario, even if he is playing badly. You just can't because you need something from somewhere. And I think, Rory, I might be doing you a disservice here, but I think in the past you said you'd like to see Nwaneri alongside Odegaard. I don't want to see that overly, but when you are as dominant as we were in that game, Everton had no intention of coming at us at all. Did Raya even make a save? The game was so dull. I can't struggle to remember most of it. Yeah,
0 on target.
0 on target.
Yeah. How many of those shots were clearances, but just happened to go somewhere vaguely near the goal? I mean,
Everton only got close in the early stages, didn't they, with that Gabriel block?
That was it. That was
literally it.
But when he was dominant as that,
we could have got 1-0 down if it wasn't for him. Who knows?
But when he was dominant as that, you can go with the 2 10s, right? because they're not going to threaten anything. And I'd have liked to have seen something like that. I'd have liked to have seen something different, which might have been a Raheem Sterling coming on. You know, people are sort of saying Sterling hasn't done anything. It's true, he hasn't. But he's also barely played, right? You know, so just something different, or you know, but there was nothing, and that's where I think last week I understood it, and I wasn't so critical of the manager. This week, the manager has to take responsibility. I mean, he has to take responsibility anyway. He's the manager, right? But I mean, he is the one that has to really take responsibility for this one. And it's definitely a disappointing result. And you know, I've said all season, and I stand by this, by the way, but Liverpool and I think Chelsea too are not as good as the league suggests. However, that's 2 weeks in a row we have missed opportunities. Liverpool will give us more, and that's what gives me faith. I don't think this title race is over still, but that's 2 attempts we could have closed the gap, 2 attempts we haven't closed the gap, and that's 2 opportunities less we now have to do so. And I think that's the consequence of this weekend, and that's what makes it so disappointing. And this was home to Everton. Last week was away at Fulham, right? And I said we're not going to win all our games in December. We can afford one slip up, and if we slipped up once and won the rest, which we should have done, should be able to do, the gap is down to 4 points. League titles on. Right now, the gap could be 9. Is it if they live in their game in hand, Liverpool? And it's because we've missed opportunities there. We should be 4 points right now. And that's what makes it disappointing. But I know we can discuss this later if you want. I genuinely still do not think the title is over, but he does need to find the solutions fast. But he has proved in the past he can find the solutions, and that these players can find those solutions, and that's what gives me hope. But as I say, the margin has got smaller again.
Very well said as always, Dom. There. Before I move to Rory, I just want to big up my guy Drew. He says, just glad to see the back of the weekend. Also let me down there. My daughter had to pull out of her first jiu-jitsu tournament with her ear infection. I'm sorry to hear that, Drew, by the way, my friends. And, you know, wish her well as well, my guy. And, you know, man, you've had a very, you know, poor weekend in that sense. But, yeah, big up to you every single time, man.
Josh, just before you go to Rory, I hope your daughter's feeling better. Not your daughter, I was in Drew's daughter. Secondly, you know, while I think the reaction from the fans is slightly overdone, I do genuinely, I might not sound like it, I just want to be really clear, I do understand the frustration from that weekend. It is there. I just don't tend to get overly excited or overly emotional about it. Like, I do understand it, but I think, you know, we do need to just wait and see a little bit longer. But, you know, I just wanted to make sure that was clear, because last week I probably wasn't clear on that. And people rightly said in the comments, how are you okay about this? It was like, I wasn't okay about it, to be clear. And I'm not this weekend, but, you know, rightly, I can see why people thought that. And I just wanted to make that quite clear.
Rory, bro, listen, man, more drop points this season. Emirates against Everton, just, you know, toothless in the attack. You know, what's your thoughts after that, man? You know, and that result, where are you at with this title race? Where are you at with this season? Where are you at with this manager? Where are you at with this team? I know there's a lot of questions there, so just give me your overall thoughts, firstly, on that game against Everton, man.
I said last week that Arsenal, every time we have an opportunity to capitalise, we don't take it. Last week against Fulham, okay, difficult game. But one thing I would have expected from Arsenal is to react. Especially when you've got a home game against Everton, who are arguably the worst team, or one of the worst teams away from home so far this season. They've lost to fucking Southampton. They've had a pumping from Tottenham and Man United. Meanwhile, Arsenal, at their own gaff, who, to be fair, I mean, in recent years, we've had a decent record against Everton at the Emirates. We always seem to beat them and pick up a brilliant result there. Honestly, I don't know what to say about this team anymore. It's sickening. The manager, the players, I mean, the thing is, right, the lineup on the watch on, I was buzzing. Probably the best lineup that he's fielded all season. For once, some damn simplicity. Timber at right back, Lewis Skelly at left back. I'm saying 3 or 4-0. We're going to pump these lot comfortably. And let's see what Liverpool do against Fulham at Anfield. Oh, my days. This team is stealing a living out of me. Like, real talk. I don't think, apart from Lewis Skelly, anyone stood out. The defence obviously kept a clean sheet. I thought Saliba, Gabriel, Lewis Skelly were arguably our best 3 players, but the rest were absolutely abysmal. You got Erdegaard, who, look, I honestly don't know. Like, bro, this was a huge game, and obviously Saturday was the day he thought, yeah, you know what, I'm going to put arguably my worst game in an Arsenal shirt. He's been subbed off 21 times, for crying out loud. 22 now, I think. What is going on there?
Well, some of it's to protect him, isn't it? But this was a substitution because he wasn't playing well this time, which is probably the difference.
It is scandalous. I feel so bad for Saka because we're so reliant on him. Like, every time he picks up the ball, looks up, no one's there. Apart from about 5 Everton players surrounding him. Martinelli. Oh, he needs a DNA test for real, brother. He really does.
Facts.
I'm going to call him Gabriel Martin from now on. Fuck the Martinelli. Gabriel Martin is your new name. Because you're not Brazilian. We just allowed fucking Grant Mitchell of EastEnders to come to the Emirates and produce a managerial masterclass. What's going on?
Grant Mitchell.
Ashley Old, 39 years of age. He's about 400. Bro,
he's been practicing these today, hasn't
he? Yeah.
The guy was on punditry 6 months ago.
Jesus.
How is he pocketing our Brazilian left winger? I said it last week. We've got arguably, in fact, no, it was last week, wasn't it? I said last week, Arsenal have to own the only Brazilian in the Premier League with no technical ability. And obviously, it's not just Martinelli, because I reckon another manager can look at Martinelli and go, yeah, I could get the best out of him. But honestly, I cannot watch this guy regress any further. I love the guy, but this is just too much now because he's starting to lose the fans, and I don't want that because Arsenal fans adore Martinelli. I think he's still been a really good signing for Arsenal.
Oh God,
yeah, he has.
Yeah, 100%.
For fuck's sake, this season and last, signing for 6 million, it feels like we've overpaid.
I mean, I don't think we've overpaid, but I think you're right to some extent. I was thinking about Martinelli. Probably this season is probably where he's at. I don't think he was as good as he was 2 years ago, and I don't think he's as bad as he was last year. And for 6 million, that's good, right? In terms of like what we've got out of him. But I was thinking about him today quite a bit. And Arsenal have been looking for someone on the left for a while, so I think they clearly realise there's something there. Now, I don't disagree. It's why I was quite keen to see us sign a wide forward in the summer. And I understood why Arsenal were targeting that over the striker. And that's the one area in the summer where I felt we didn't get it right. I think I've always railed against the shambles narrative because I think the rest of the window was fine. That was the missing piece. But with Martinelli, I think you're right, Rory. I think there's a really good player in there. I just wonder whether he is a good player at the wrong club for him.
Yeah.
Because I think if he went to a side like, say, Atletico Madrid, right, which is essentially we're going to sit in 8 players behind the ball, it's going to invite the other team onto him, and suddenly there's all that space for him to run into. Yeah. I wonder if that's where you see him fly, rather than a side where we are so ball dominant and there isn't the space behind, which is what he thrives in. He's that type of player. It's why it's one of many reasons, by the way. It's why I'm really, really concerned by the links to Marcus Rashford. There's more reasons that, but he's a similar type of player, right? Which is needs a space in behind. that's where they thrive. So if we're keeping Martinelli, and I think we should, I think he's the squad option that comes on late when you need a goal, or do you know what? He almost plays in the big games, Liverpool, Manchester City, where they're going to come on to you a bit more, and that gives you the space. Becomes that type of player, where he might get
against the low block.
40, yeah, exactly. 14, 15 starts a season.
Penal's Barber, for crying out loud.
Plays against Liverpool, plays against City, plays against Chelsea, plays against Spurs, doesn't play against Everton, doesn't play against Southampton, doesn't play against Wolves. I mean, I think there's a role for him there. But whether he accepts that or not, I don't know.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, but even when I'm watching him one-on-one with a defender, like, Ashley Young didn't skip past him once, right? I think it was one-on-one against Harry Maguire in that.
Yeah, he didn't straight him.
Arsenal Man United. Like, come on, what's going on? Surely a more sharper Martinelli would have just took it round him. You're up against a fridge, for crying out loud.
In fairness, it's quite a long way around.
Walking stick, bless him. Like, come on.
In fairness, it's quite a long way around Maguire, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, if he was a roundabout, he'd have traffic lights on him to manage traffic flow.
Look, it's not just Martinelli's fault. I mean, that midfield three, apparently our best midfield trio. All three of them got hooked.
Yeah.
Moreno.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Apparently, the guy that's going to unlock Martinelli, he couldn't unlock a smartphone with Face ID. Crap. Just crap.
Man, his analogies are on point today. I can't lie. The whole minute.
It's just crap, bro. Like,
I
it's
think
not his fault, right?
I think
it's not just his fault, because let's be honest, he's not the most exciting player. He can't help that. But I look at him at the moment and go, you're more of a 6. You're not a box-to-box midfielder. You're more of a 6. So it gets me thinking, like, how many fucking 6s does this manager need? Moreno, Jorginho, Partey, Rice, that's 4.
It depends on whether you're going to play the double or single pivot, doesn't it? And I think he kind of likes to mix between the two. I think Moreno is kind of that hybrid. I think the thing with Moreno is, and look, Seb's never liked him. And, right now you can understand why. But I think the thing with it here is the guys miss Theo Walcott was talking about this the other day. And he said it's really important, particularly when you go to a new side, that you get that pre-season. He's missed that. That's going to impact him because he's catching up the whole year. And it's doubly bad in a new system. So I don't think we've seen the best of Moreno yet. If you're judging on what he is now, yeah, it's not been a good signing and he doesn't look good enough. But I think it's one of those ones we're going to need to be patient with. But I think you're also right, Josh, when you say he's not an exciting signing. But sometimes they're the players you need. And I think he's the type of guy that's going to sit there. He's going to use his height. You're starting to see him get forward into that box more. He's just a little bit late getting in there, but I think that will come. And I think we do look more balanced since he's come into the side the last couple of games. The field tilt between right and left has narrowed. So that our field tilt this season between right and left is 45% on the right and 55% between the centre and the left. That's quite a staggering amount when you think we're playing 45% of our football down 1/3 of the field. But it has actually got dropped to around the 40% mark since when Moreno's been on the pitch. So I think that will really help. I think that's what will help unlock. I just think it's going to take a bit of time. What's irritating is we don't have time because we've missed opportunities here. Now, some of that is injury related earlier in the season where we've dropped and we've dropped points with some horrible decisions on red cards. Now, that's partly our fault. We've given the referees decisions to make. But, it's meant that there is no less margin for error that I talked about now, which means we can't give Moreno time. He needs to start performing now. But I do think, given time, I think we need to give him time and judge him later on because he just needs that little bit of time. But right now, though, Rory, and based on that game on Saturday, your take is absolutely right. I just think it's important just to remember that with him.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I will give him time. But right now, he should not be starting. I've always said our best midfield three is Partey, Rice, Ødegaard. We rarely lose games when them three are starting. So why the fuck has he benched Partey?
Again, just on that, Rory, I think the reason he's benched Partey is twofold, right? One, if Moreno doesn't play games, and if you can't beat Everton, with that midfield and that side, like it's good enough, right? So there's some sense there. But second, if he doesn't play, how do you get him up to speed? But I think the other factor is, and none of us like it, is Timber can't play 3 games every 8 days. Coming off the back of an ACL, he's going to need to be managed this season, and there is no other option at right back. And therefore, Partey has to flip in and out. And let's be honest, Partey's not exactly, the most reliable of players injury-wise either. So again, he needs some managing. So that's why the decision's made there. But you are right. If you look at our best midfield this season, it's Partey, Rice, Odegaard. But I think the best midfield we've got going forward is Rice at 6, so I think he's better at 6 and 8. I don't overly like him at 8, to be honest. Moreno at 8 and Odegaard at the other 8, basically 8, 10.
Yeah, I also forgot to bring up Kai Havertz. Man, like dry Havertz, honestly, another stinker. Fucking hell. What more does he have to do to get subbed when he's playing crap? Like you saw against Monaco midweek, right? It comes on as an impact sub. Exactly what I've been calling for. He's more of a bench player, isn't he, to throw on if you need height in the 18-yard box. And lo and behold, he scored. Although it was more of an own goal, to be fair, but it still counted as his goal pretty much.
It wouldn't have gone in had he not made the run he did, right?
Yeah, but he ultimately changed the game. He starts again against Everton, nothing. He just does not get subbed off. And I don't understand why.
Can I come in on that one as well?
Huh?
Can I come in on that one as well?
Yeah, sure.
So I think going forward, that will be Kai Havertz's role, right? Will be the backup striker. And I think that's probably right. Yeah. I said in the summer, I understood why we didn't go for the striker option, right? And why we should have focused more on the wide player, which we didn't do. That's the one missing piece in the summer for me was we were forward right, and I understood why we were targeting the wide rather than the centre forward because there were question marks about the options, right? I think those question marks have been answered somewhat this season, and that means I'd be beyond disappointed if we don't do something about it this summer coming. But I understood why we didn't in the summer because I thought Kai Havertz will get 20 goals. I still think he will, by the way. I figured Jesus couldn't be as bad as he was last season.
I don't think he is.
Well, we're on Havertz. He's got 10 goals so far, and we're halfway through the season.
No.
Well, he has, but
he's more of a Giroud type, isn't he?
But I think he can get 20 goals, right? Whether he does or not, I think he can. But that was the logic there. But I think he becomes a backup player, and I think that will ultimately be his role. I think I said it when he signed. I liked the signing, but I thought he was going to be one of those. He's a 14th man in your squad. And you know what? In Kai Havertz is your 14th, 15th man in a squad. It means you've probably got a good squad. Obviously, you don't know at that point yet. He's a starter. I think the thing I would say about Saturday was I think it made a difference who was up front on Saturday. I really don't think it made a difference. They were never going to find him because he's surrounded by 3 Everton players because we didn't put enough other bodies in and around him to support him. And frankly, we didn't create anything for a centre forward. I genuinely think you could pick any centre forward in world history, and unless they can produce a moment of magic out of nothing, which isn't Havertz's game, nothing's happening for the centre forward because we didn't create Jack for them, and I think that was the issue there. So, well, I agree with you that Havertz probably that will be his role next season, and I think that is the right role for him, and I think he will really thrive in that role. I disagree that I think he will get 20 goals this season in all competitions, by the way, but I will defend him somewhat on Saturday, which was what else was he supposed to do? Like, he's surrounded by 3 guys the whole time because we didn't do anything to help him. And you need to support your centre forward in that moment.
Yeah.
By the way, Villa fan, when did I say Havertz was going to bag 20 goals?
I did. You didn't.
Has anyone heard me say that?
No.
I said he's capable, but I didn't say he's going to get 20 goals.
I can't remember who said what.
Depending on if the playing style suits like his strengths, but at the moment, I think he's more of a link-up player, and he's clearly been told to roam everywhere but the 18-yard box. Arteta, it's pretty clear he does not want to play with a striker.
I spoke about that earlier.
Think this as well. We spent over 110 million on both Jesus and Havertz.
Yeah.
Who have scored 6 goals between them so far this season. We're going for a league title, for crying out loud. How can you look, forget top 6, how can you look towards the bottom half of the league, such as Newcastle, etc., and go, hold on a minute, they've got better strikers than us. I mean,
who's got better strikers? No, sorry, I missed it. You cut out.
Right, so
Newcastle.
Brentford have got
Newcastle.
better.
Yeah, sorry, he cut out. I didn't hear. That's why. Sorry.
Yeah, Brentford have got better strikers than us. Visser and Mbermo.
Right.
Brighton have got better strikers than us in Welbeck and Pedro. Newcastle got a better striker in Isak. Villa have got two better strikers.
Yeah, they're around what?
I know they're not in the bottom half at the moment, but they've been shocking this season, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, Havertz does have 10 goals this season. Jesus is the real
Yeah,
disappointment.
but
I think there's two things with Havertz, isn't there? Right. One, he's got absolutely. We spoke about this last week. No one putting any pressure on him. Because Jesus just. I mean, what is he? I mean, he's gone. I mean, I thought he would improve on last season. That's definitely not the case.
Yeah, I had hope as well.
You know,
and you know what? You know what I will say, right? Jesus, in the 2 games he started against Monaco and Forest, I think we've looked significantly better, astronomically better than we have been with Havertz through the middle, because it allows us to play through the opponents. Whereas Havertz, I don't know. He's
I agree.
at times, and
I agree. I have a second point I was going to make, which was one you made, sort of alluded to earlier, and I made the point earlier today, was he's being asked, and I'm not blaming Havertz here. This is where Arteta has to take some problem. Get him in the middle. When you get him in the middle, he's actually not, his goal scoring record isn't that bad. We've got to get him in those central areas more. Yes, on Saturday it would have been difficult because you had to get just more than just him around those bodies, because you've got one man against 3. Well, the one man ain't winning it very often, and he is being asked to play. You know, I sort of relate him very much to Bobby Firmino, which is play anywhere but the centre spot. And actually, that works really well at times, but not against a low block, because the defender's going to go, oh, you want to go up there? That's fine. They're not going to follow you. And that's where he has to get into the middle more. And I think that has to be a tactical decision by the manager, because otherwise, why is he telling him to keep doing it? So I think he's following instructions there. But I think you're right. We almost look better with Jesus because he's been told to stay central and stay in the middle. We'll just get Havertz to do that then, because I think he can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I've just clocked that we've just been waffling about the players this whole time, when really it's the manager. It stems from him. Because those substitutions, like, bro, Jorginho's coming on for Declan Rice. Apparently, Arteta in his interview touched on why he made them substitutions. I'm just trying to find it right now.
I can remember if it helps you. So he said he pulled Rice off because of an injury, and
there you go. Right? Can you believe he said that? He's had a niggle for a week or so, but he's playing him. Why?
Well, again,
why is he playing him?
It comes back to, if you can't beat Everton with Jorginho starting, right?
Partey.
Yeah, I mean, assuming you're managing Partey and Rice, right, and Timber, why can't you win? You should be able to win against Everton with Jorginho at 6. So just rest him then.
Yeah, I mean, look, Partey had to suffer with a muscle injury against, I think it was West Ham, right? He missed the game. He wasn't even on the bench. Ever since that game, he's had to play as a right back. Is that helping? Because he's not a right back.
No.
He has to do so much tracking back.
Yeah.
So that's just going to make the injury worse. And at some point, he's going to pick up a serious injury again. And we can't afford that.
I agree, but what's your alternative right now?
Well, just play anyone at right back. I'm not saying Partey's done a bad job at right back, but that doesn't make him a right back.
No, I mean, I agree, but I think, you know, right now, when there's no margin for error, you obviously play Timber where you can, but you're going to have to manage it, because as I would say, you then don't want to go, do you know what, I'll play Jorginho at right back, or, you know, you need to play someone that, and Partey, well, we don't want to see it, has not done a bad job there, and therefore you just manage their minutes. So you're playing Timber for, 70% of the time, and Partey for 30% of the time is probably your best option right now. Your alternative is Josh Nichols. Are we going to throw in a 17-year-old? I don't think we should. Or you're playing and another player out of position that probably has never played there. And that's also a risk. So I think you're right. That is the risk. You are risking serious injury to Partey, given his record.
He's not
But
quick.
I don't see the alternative there. I really don't. I don't want to see Kivior there.
Yeah,
He's left-footed. We don't want to see Saliba moving out there.
No,
I don't see what the alternative is.
But the subs, like, back onto them, I'm sat there scratching my head like, why do we need 4 defenders? Let me ask you guys this, yeah? When was the last time Arteta played with 3 defenders?
FA Cup final.
Why does he need 4 defenders? Everton are not
We
going
played
for
with
the
5,
game.
let's be honest.
Was it FA Cup final?
We played with 5 that day, let's be honest.
But 3 defenders. Like, when was the last time I saw Arteta going full throttle?
Josh is right. It was 3 defenders in the FA Cup final, but I'd argue it was 5.
Yeah.
but you're right. Like, the big criticism I would have on Saturday was, well, obviously we didn't create the chances, right? Which is why I slightly defend Havertz in that, because we didn't create anything. But we didn't do anything different. It's like, we've all said it, and that's the thing you have to take onto the manager is we didn't try anything different. We didn't try and go, not really too up top. We didn't really try an option we haven't done before. What, like you say, could we have not gone 3 at the back? I can't remember who you could have gone with a back 3 of Timber, Saliba, and Gabriel, and gone, do you know what, Miles Lewis-Skelly, you're actually a midfielder anyway. I'm going to play you in midfield now.
Yeah.
Just do something, anything. If we'd drawn that game 0-0 and we'd thrown the Alamo at them and we'd gone, do you know what, we've gone 3 up front, we've got Martinelli, Jesus, and Havertz bombing into the box with, Moreno or Nwaneri coming from midfield also to join them. We've absolutely thrown men forward. Look, sometimes that can happen. The keeper's made 30 saves or whatever it is. I'm making this up, right? But we didn't do that, and the substitutions didn't enable that, which is exactly where Rory is right, which is they were too conservative. And it's back to that gap between October and November, which was somewhat understandable, but my criticism then was it's too conservative. You're trying to protect your defence. Well, just go and try and win the game. That's the best way to protect your defence sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. And it was the same on Saturday. It's like 0-0 and Everton have offered Jack. They've barely touched the ball in our half. Like, if you can't release a handbrake then, when can you? And that's why I think he takes some responsibility here. Whereas against Fulham, I felt he did try to do something different to unlock them at least.
Yeah, I hear that.
Did you lads notice this before half time? But they saw. I
was asleep, I think.
No, they put a clip on screen before half time. Actually, Tierney going down the tunnel early, and I said on my watch along, I was like, "Oh my god, he might actually be coming on."
I was so gassed. I got so giddy, mate. I thought we were going to see him.
I see the same 11 coming out for the second half, and I'm like, well, why the fuck have you sent him down the tunnel for?
Rory, mate, he went for a shit, mate.
I was going to say he needed a wee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he went to the loo, yeah.
Serious? Oh,
yeah, he went to the loo, yeah.
I thought he was coming on for, I don't know, Lewis-Skelly, because that's something else that I would have done. I was like, oh my god, Tierney might actually be coming on.
Tierney's not going to play for Arsenal again.
Do you know
he's going to start on Wednesday now.
In Wednesday,
no, I don't think he starts Wednesday, no.
Look, the thing is, we can talk about the fact he's not fit, right? All this gimmick, right? Let's just wind this back, I'd say 2 years, before we signed Zinchenko. I mean, did we want Tierney replaced? Should he have been replaced? Were we asking for...
I think there's different answers to those 2 questions.
I mean, it's mad. Like 2 years ago, we were struggling. We were bones in that left-back position. We had to shift bloody Cedric out at left-back. 3 years later, we've ended up with how many left-backs?
Well, Miles Lewis-Skelly isn't really one. We've got 3 left-backs, in my mind. I mean, Calafiori, I'm counting as a left-back. I think he's a left centre-half. But the way we set up is we want that type of player at left-back. But I think it's him, Tierney, and Zinchenko are the left-backs. Because Kivior is definitely a centre-half. And Miles Lewis-Skelly's a midfielder. But I think you're right. I mean, I was talking about Tierney the other day. 3 years ago, whatever it was. When he was out, it was a freaking disaster. Like, you were praying that his hamstring survived because he made such a difference.
Yeah.
I think the side has evolved, and I think the side has evolved for two reasons. One, I don't think the chaos football wins you the league that often. I think Klopp, had he put a little bit more control into his side, wins 2 leagues rather than 1, if I'm honest. So I think we wanted to play a different style, but I think the reason we partly did that as well was because you couldn't trust Kieran Tierney's injuries. But it is really sad because I love Kieran Tierney. I think he's a great player, and I think he seems like a guy that really, really cares. I really hope that Kieran Tierney gets a top loan in January. He stays injury free, and I don't even care what money we get from him. I just want him to go somewhere where he can play and just hope he stays fit. I really just don't. That's all I want for Kieran Tierney because I think he's given everything he's got for us. People say he's been treated badly. I'm sorry, it's top level football. That's what happens. It's like with Ramsdale. I feel sorry for him, but it's also what happens, right? But for Kieran Tierney, I can't blame Arteta for moving on for him given the injury history. And I also don't think that he will play for the club again for 2 reasons. One, I suspect we're trying to make sure he doesn't get injured or as best we can because we want to move him out in January. And I think secondly is because if you bring Kieran Tierney in, you either ask him to do something he's not great at doing, which is inverting, or you change the way you play to adapt to accommodate for Kieran Tierney. And I don't think the second is tenable unless you're trying to do something different in the game. So you might bring him on as a sub like on Saturday, for instance, to go, do you know what? Fuck it. We're going to try Kieran Tierney and we're going to go back old school and we're going to play like we did when he was the starting left back and try and bomb down that side and see what happens. So unless you do something like that, I don't think he plays again. And that's why I don't think he starts on whatever day is Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean...
By the way, Fabianski is having the game of his life tonight.
Wait, what's the score, by the way?
Oh, it's a thriller. It's Bournemouth 0, West Ham United 0. But by all accounts, it's looking like a pretty decent game, to be fair.
Yeah.
How long's left?
Yeah, I was just going to say...
15.
I mean...
Sorry, real quick. 33 shots so far in the game.
Fuck.
But also known as more than Jesus' total for the last 3 years.
Oh, my God.
Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, I was just going to say, right, and I keep bringing this up, I apologise, but the transfer window, I rated it a 5 out of 10. I think I'm being generous. Like, is it too late to change? Because I kind of want to rate it now a 2. Because
I mean, that's harsh.
Come on. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, go on, carry on.
Get the popcorn ready, lads.
Let's be honest, a cup-tied goalkeeper, a left-back that's been injured non-stop, who's not even a left-back, by the way, Moreno, who can't win aerial duels, Sterling, he doesn't play, but I was told, 5 out of 10, Rory, how negative. We just signed Raheem the Dream. Absolutely woeful. Guess what? Your manager thinks so as well, because he's not playing him.
I feel for Sterling, man.
Yeah.
Like, real talk. What's this guy got to do to even get off the bench now? Why is he even come off the bench? I swear.
I'll earn his
correct
money.
me if I'm wrong, guys.
Get on my arse and do shit all.
Yeah, exactly. Correct me if I'm wrong. I swear Arteta said the reason why he signed Sterling, he convinced him in like 5 minutes that he was the right guy or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to break it to you, but Arteta lies.
You can't trust Arteta with his interviews anymore. I mean, look, he said some good things in the past, but at times, I'm like, what a fucking clown.
I have no issue, by the way, with a manager not telling the truth in a press conference. I really don't. Like, I have no issue with that whatsoever. You don't give away information you don't want to give away. I mean, I have my criticism of Arteta, and I think we'll probably come on to him in a minute. But just really quickly, by the way, Moreno has still won 60% of his aerial duels this season, which is actually quite high.
60%?
Yeah. That's quite high for the position.
Yeah. And
it puts him in the top 20.
But I've got a lot to say about this manager and whether he's the right man to take us forward.
Just quickly on the window, though, I think you judge the window at the end of a season, right? So I look, the disappointment of the window, and I think I said it. I can't remember the exact word I used at the time, but essentially was we are one attacker light. I have no problem with Raheem Sterling coming in because for me, he was the Reece Nelson replacement. That's an upgrade, right? The issue was, and I said it at the time, was we didn't replace Nketiah. Whether that was with a striker, which I understood why we didn't at the time, or another forward, it left us one light. I got Vieira leaving. That was Ranieri. Smith Rowe replaced by Moreno. It's unfortunate with the injuries. That can't be helped. And it depends on how you want to judge the window, right? If you sign Moreno and he's injury prone, you know, I'm not trying to cause a fight here, but if you sign Pedro Neto and he gets injured, you've only got yourself to blame, right? Because the history record's there. Moreno doesn't have that. It's unfortunate. Calafiori, to some extent, we know there's a knee injury there, and you can kind of do that. But I think Calafiori will be a really good plot signing. I think Moreno will prove to be a good signing. I think he could well end up being a squad signing. But again, that's fine because he wasn't the player we wanted to sign. We wanted to sign Martin Zubimendi, couldn't get him and moved to a second option. So it's never going to be as good as the first. And we can't have it both ways where there's no plan B if we don't get plan A. I also have no problem with Neto, which was basically like we wanted Juan Garcia.
Cup-type goalkeeper.
Yeah, well, hang on. We wanted Garcia, but we deemed it too expensive to do. So we got Neto in. But we don't want to see our backup goalkeeper play. And if Neto's called on, right, I think it's fine. It's not great. It's fine. No more than that. But, you know.
When can this guy play, by the way?
He can play in, he can play in the FA Cup.
When can Neto play in the FA Cup?
Yeah.
It's the FA Cup. He can play in the league and he can play in the FA Cup. And he can play in the Champions League. But we don't want to see him. So we've gone, do you know what? Joan Garcia, they're not lowering the asking price. We're not paying it. So we've gone for a backup goalkeeper and kept our money for someone else later. So I've no problem with that because you don't want to see it. Look, we signed a Premier League experienced goalkeeper. It's only the League Cup. But fine, play Tommy Setford, or if Raya has to play, then, you know, not the end of the world. So I think, and we also moved on a load of our dead wood for decent money, by and large. The real issue with the window, and that's why I gave it a 7, because I think all of those are positives. They haven't quite worked out, but I think they will. Raheem Sterling is fine. That's on the manager for not playing him. I don't understand why he's not being given minutes. Raheem Sterling got 15, 16 goal and assists in a shit Chelsea side last year. Well, it was shit in the first half. It was actually quite good in the second half of the season. And that is actually ironically where he got most of his goals. But the issue was, and you know, I said it in a video today, I've said it before, is we are one player light in attack. And that's where I knocked 3 marks off the transfer window. So I gave it a 7 because of that. Now that look, I'm generally quite positive. I could well be made to look an idiot at the end of the season, but I think that is there. It hasn't worked out yet, but I think you judge a transfer window over a season or two, not over half a season. I really do. I think that applies. I think that applies to previous transfer windows. You know, Kai Havertz this time last year, you know, look, we all think he's probably going to be the squad player going forward, and that's absolutely fine. But let's be honest, he has 10 goals this season so far. He got, was it 13 last season? So he's contributed 23 goals. Now, we got lucky because he's not played where we signed him to play. We signed him to play in number 8. He scored his goals in number 9, and that's where he's made a difference for the team. But if we were judging it this time last year, we'd have been all over Kai Havertz. And people were. I was always quite bullish on it. I was like, just give him time to settle. So I think we need to give it some time. But again, I do understand the frustration. I do understand the anger in the fan base because it isn't looking great right now, right? So you can understand that reaction.
Yeah, I mean, also, can you understand? Obviously, throughout the time Odegaard's been injured for like 2 months, right? He has not started Ranieri once, and he's still not started him to this day in a competitive game, a proper like
he started in the League Cup, hasn't he? But I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Like Premier League, Champions League.
Yeah, I know what
you mean. Opportunity to do so when Odegaard's out injured. Now he's out here subbing off Odegaard for Ranieri, and I'm like, well, now you trust him. So why the fuck did you not trust him flipping 2 months ago when Odegaard was out injured? It doesn't make any sense.
I would have played him more during that period of time.
And I'm not seeing him play him every week, by the way.
No, I don't think you can, right? Because he's still a growing lad. Like,
yeah, I mean, look what happened to Yamal today. Like, he's out due to injury, and this is what happens when you play these sort of players down to the ground because, like, they can pick up nasty injuries.
Yeah, we were talking about Miles Lewis-Skelly between the two of us, like by message before the game. We both said we'd start him, but there might be a decision to make on his fitness and how capable he is. I think that applies to Wanyeri. And now I'd have started him certainly like Southampton, or I think we played during that period, something like that. I do think the other side
a chance against Southampton, Leicester,
something like
opportunity.
I would have done the same, right? Personally, I would have done the same. I also think though there is that thing about how you manage their minutes and make sure that you're protecting them as well. So I do understand that. We've seen it with the likes of Foden, just an example at City. There were others. I always want to call him Nico.
Chris was better than Havertz as well, Tom. Sorry, Dom, but I just need to get something like Chris was better than Havertz as well. What are we doing here?
Chris Wood is not better. He's having a better season so far. Chris Wood is not a better striker than Havertz. But
Havertz is not a striker, though.
No, I think he's a false nine, right? Bobby Firmino was never a striker. I had a Liverpool mate go absolutely mental at me.
Yeah, so that makes Chris Wood a better striker than Havertz then, if Havertz is not a striker.
Yes, if you want the technical definition, you're absolutely correct. But would I rather have Kai Havertz or Chris Wood? I'd rather have Kai Havertz. But, I can understand the protection of Wanyeri to an extent, but I agree with you. I would have started him in that time. I'm pleased with the minutes Wanyeri's getting. I think he's really good for his development. I think he's earned them. But I agree with you. I would have played him more in those games. I really would, because it wasn't working. So try something different. It worked initially with Havertz and Trossard, and then it didn't. I think because they got confused about which one was playing 9 and which one wasn't. But I would have given Wanyeri more of a go.
Yeah, I mean, also,
what do you reckon? What do you reckon, Josh? In
terms of
Wanyeri or any of it.
I agree with you, Dom, when you're saying, we wanted to see him a bit more, like, especially, the games we played against Southampton and Leicester Cities, and he was never even thrown in, and when obviously Odegaard was injured as well, and he kept playing Trossard there. That is where I think this guy should have been given a lot of opportunity. And obviously he never did. But for me, also I think this type of game as well, as I said it earlier on, against Everton, just go for the game. Bring, instead of replacing one for the other one, play them both. And go for the game, because everyone was never attacking us whatsoever, So I would have gone both of them.
I agree. Given the game state, I wouldn't want to see them starting together. But given the game state at that point, Everton had no interest. You can do it, no question.
Yeah. Also, could I just say, Tom brings up he wants a striker that scores goals. Brings up Nketiah. That's why I rate Nketiah higher than Jesus. When I'd almost argue the best bit of business we did in the summer was selling Nketiah for 30 million, because he is dog food, absolute dog food.
Hold on, Rory, mate. We got them Wednesday night. He's been playing against us.
Can we wait until this time next week, please? but I bring up Nketiah as the man we didn't replace, because that's the man we didn't replace in terms of he got significant minutes, particularly in the first half of last season. So I was saying Sterling was Nelson, Moreno was Smith Rowe, etc. Calafiori was in because we were a defender light last season and got away with it. The man
you look at
Nketiah.
You look at Chelsea's recruitment.
We were right to move Nketiah on, by the way. But that's the man we didn't replace, was why I said that's where we didn't replace him.
I mean, you look at Chelsea's recruitment. Who have they replaced Jorginho with?
Penalty Bournemouth.
Bournemouth. Wow.
Yeah, West Ham.
Wait, do they go in the top 6?
No, West Ham have a penalty.
Oh, West Ham.
Yeah, there's a penalty at Bournemouth, not for Bournemouth. And it's been scored. Paqueta's put it away.
Lopetegui, job save, guys. Wow.
What was going to say? Chelsea. There we go. Chelsea's recruitment lately. Who they replaced Jorginho with? Both Caicedo and Lavia.
Caicedo, yeah.
Yeah. Who they replaced Sterling with? Sancho and Neto. Who they replaced Havertz with? Jackson. I've seen in the summer Vieira, Smith Rowe, Nketiah, Nelson all leave in the summer, and I'm sat there wondering who's coming in.
Yeah, I agree.
Who's coming in? Right, fans laughed at me for wanting Sancho in the summer.
I would have done Sancho.
I watched his goal against Tottenham, and I was like, when has our left winger done that? When has our left winger cut inside and actually taken on his man? Like, apart from Saka, we have no players in this team that can take on their man. It's just super frustrating.
I agree. That was a bit for me. The other signings, like Neto's temporary, you're going to have to do something permanent there. But the others, obviously you're always going to downgrade. Aaron Ramsdale's a starting level goalkeeper as our number 2. We were always going to downgrade. The rest of it, I thought was fine. When Yeri was coming in to replace Vieira, I think that was absolutely fine. Like I said, the glaring one, as you say, was we didn't make a forward signing, which was the missing bit for me. Just really quickly, I think AFC always is really right on the 550k a week for our strikers. My issue is less Havertz, it is more Jesus. I think Havertz will get 20 goals this season. We're halfway through the season at 10, and I think our attack will get better. It can't stay this pathetic forever. And I think there are things we can do internally and hopefully externally. It's not going to be a Benga star in January, but a Umbermo or a Jonathan David or something like that, or Gia on loan or whatever his name, Artur Gula, on loan, something like that. I mean, Gula on loan isn't my first choice, but something like that that's affordable. I could see us doing that sort of helps move us on for the summer. But I think the attack will get better. So if Havertz is at 10 now, I think he will go 20 plus goals in all competitions. But do I want him as my number 9 next season? No. I said it this season. I don't really want Havertz as number 9, but I got why we didn't. What wasn't good enough was not bringing in a wide forward. By the way, I still think Sterling's a good pickup for us, even though he's not being used. We're playing next to nothing for him.
Look, bro, again, on this Nketiah situation, bro, Tom, you do get rid of one of them, one of Nketiah or Jesus, and it turns out Nketiah, who just has never been good enough, let alone wasn't good enough last season, right? We had to get rid of him. 30 million, you got 30 million for Smith Rowe, and this is what we're saying. We're not denying that we shouldn't replace him. It's just because we want a striker coming in the summer doesn't, make Nketiah this striker that we should have kept. You know what I'm saying?
I got why we kept Nketiah for as long as we did, right? So if you look at, I can say the word phases tonight, but if you look at the building we've done, right, we had to go through those processes because we literally had to almost turn over the whole squad. And when you looked at where the players were, do you want to bring in a right back to upgrade on Cedric Suarez, or do you want to bring in a striker to upgrade on Nketiah? Do you want to bring in? I can't think who the players were at the time, but you know what I mean. Basically, you looked and thought, there are so many areas of the squad. Is Nketiah the worst of our squad players at this moment in time? No. So I got the focus. And he also, the strategy was we're going to build from here and we're going to move forward. Now, we haven't done the last bit, which is we all agree on. I mean, a striker needs to come in, but we all agree an extra forward should have come in the summer. Whether that's a striker or a left winger, whatever, we might disagree. But that was the process, right? We went through. And Nketiah, wasn't the... He was. I got why he was one of the last squad players that needed moving on for the last 3 years to be moved on, because he was the best of the ones that needed moving on. But that doesn't make him the right answer for the long term, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't want to make this
1-1 at Bournemouth, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. West Ham doing Tottenham things.
I don't want to make it seem like it's all the players, right? Because this definitely stems from the manager, 100%. And I'm sorry, he's not the guy to take us over the line. And what have I got recently? Oh, you were right about this manager.
Wait, Rory. So do you want him sacked then?
No, I don't want him sacked now. I'll give him until the end of the season, but I just don't think he's the guy to get us over the line. Yeah. That's the point, right? I don't think he's good enough to get us over the line. It gets until this season for me to deliver. This squad, I don't think is good enough to win the league. I think it's a top 4 squad at best with a top 4 manager. Right, but this squad is more than good enough to win trophies. Whether that's a League Cup, FA Cup, you cannot be going 5-6 years without a trophy.
If we finish second and we win the Carabao Cup, which is the shit.
Yeah, he stays on. because he's won silverware.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
But
Yeah,
if he
I was
wins-
just checking because I was going to say
Yeah,
if
if
you're
he
going to
wins
say he
jack
goes
shit-
because he doesn't win the league, I couldn't square that circle if you don't think the squad is there to win the league. But that's fine. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, I mean, he's got over the line then, hasn't he? With a trophy, because that's what.
Fuck. Sorry, that hurt a lot.
Look at the Marino guys.
Yeah. No, I have a curved spine and my spine's fused with my left shoulder and it clicked, which is why there was an involuntary swear word there.
Because
That really hurt for a
Tom,
second.
Right? Because Tom, we are in December, and I think it would be silly to sack him mid-season. So I just want to. I want to see it. I want to see it to believe it. I'm one of them fans who doesn't really give much hope, really. I'm that sort of fan that sort of, right, okay, Arteta, you've signed a new contract. Show us what you got. That's pretty much me. And that's all I want. And all I've seen from people is, oh, you were right about this manager. You were right that he can't get us over the line. Fuck you. I don't want to be right. I've also had messages like, oh, you want to be right about the manager. Why the fuck would I want to be right? I want, come the end of the season, these top gooners to come out after when we've just won the Premier League and say me, Josh, etc., are all in the mud. That's what I want. I don't want to be right. I want to be proven wrong. And at the moment, I mean, he's an early man. He's pretty much our Ranieri at this rate. But at least Ranieri actually got over the line. So I'll probably say, obviously, our Rodgers, Hughes, like, this is what I'm saying. Brendan Rodgers, great team at Liverpool, sacked. Mark Hughes, great team at Man City, sacked. Pochettino, great team at Tottenham, sacked.
I felt for him at Tottenham. I mean, I'm glad they failed, but if they'd backed him in that summer, I reckon he would have actually done it there. But you're right. I mean, he didn't get them over the line. But I reckon he probably would have had they backed him in that summer. But he went, what was it, 5 transfer windows in a row with nothing, or 4, something daft like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining, but
yeah, exactly.
Where do you stand on that, Josh? And then I'll have my say.
For me on Arteta overall, I said, you know, this season it's deliver. It's deliver for me. You know, there's no more excuses for it. You know, with the money that he spent, you know, he's on the squad now, chosen by design. I think it's deliver or, you know, go and get someone else. I think so far, I give full credit to him for getting us back up there. I'm not taking anything away from him there yet, but I think at times as well, yes, you know, we've been progressing in terms of, you know, going in title races, title challenges. But I do agree, so far, I don't think he's improved himself that he can get us over the line just yet, which is why I hear the comparisons to Brendan Rodgers, which is why I hear the comparisons to
Josh.
To 1 year.
How many times, sorry to cut you off, but how many times have we been asked, who are you going to get?
Yeah, this is.
Well, I think that's an important question, by the way. But sorry, you know.
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way, right? Arteta leaves tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I'm supporting Boreham Wood. Right, we're all going to become cleaners at Highbury Square or support another football team. The football club has folded because Arteta has left. I would understand, right, if we had a Pep Guardiola or a Sir Alex Ferguson in charge. But it's Mikel Arteta. There are better managers out there.
There is.
Don't act like, you know, there's no one out there who can replace Arteta. He will leave at some point.
Yeah.
And I'm just, at the moment, so concerned about most of our senior players and where their future might lie. It might not be Arsenal because we're not winning trophies. The likes of Saliba, such as Saka.
I think Saliba will go at some point anyway.
But Saliba's not going to put up with this for much longer.
Well, I think Saliba will go at some point in the next 5 years, regardless of whether we win trophies or not.
Declan Rice won't put up with this shit. Erdegaard won't put up with this shit. Gabriel was another one. I'd even say Riot to some extent, because he's like, you must feel sorry for him because he's not really had much to do lately. in games, and all he's watching is us dominating the ball sideways. Just no movement whatsoever. So
That's
robotic
a bit that's got to
and
change, as we said earlier, right? The attacking movement's got to change. But I think on Arteta, so I've backed Arteta consistently. So I'm quite positive about Arsenal and have been for some time because I've watched football now for 32 years ish, both Arsenal and other clubs, right? And so I backed Arteta quite strongly. So we won the FA Cup, right, in that season. And my view was, well done, brilliant. To be honest, we weren't. We didn't. No, actually, no. I didn't expect us to kick on. I was like, this team isn't good enough to win it. It got a bit lucky, like you have to do to get a cup. But this squad needs major surgery, and it just needs someone to come and do it. Whether Arteta was the right man or not at that point, but it was like, brilliant, well done. It's a bit like Ten Hag winning stuff at Manchester United, going, I won this. Like, yeah, God knows how, right? But it doesn't make your side good, and it doesn't make you good. So I was like, well done, Arsenal, brilliant, really happy. Of course you are, but I was like, that this it's going to get worse before we see this again, and that's pretty much what happened. And I remember saying to people when we were bottom of the league, do you remember with Brentford's first season, we lost at Brentford? And I just remember thinking that first game, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, Brentford away, new stadium, Friday night, kicking for league. Just knew it had disaster written all over it. And then I can't remember exactly who we had, but I think we had Chelsea, Manchester City,
Man City,
and I think there was a fourth game. I think
Norwich won it.
No, it was someone pretty decent, like anyway, whatever it was.
Well,
but we were
Tottenham in September.
Yeah, we played Tottenham in September. But anyway, we were sitting bottom with no points in the first 3 or 4 games, whatever it was. And people were going, he's got to go. People are laughing at us and what have you. And this is genuinely true. I remember standing there and going, right, we just come off the Willian season, which was a disaster season, right? But I remember him saying when he came in, we need 4 seasons now. Now he has to own that season where we got it wrong. And you just think, had you got it right, where could we be now? But we didn't. And he has to own that, as a do. And that's one of your 4 gone, right? So you've now got 3 seasons to do it. But I remember seeing those 3 games and thinking, I quite like the signings. I quite like what we're trying to do here. I can see what we're trying to do. And at some point, it's going to click. And ironically, it clicked after we got a dodgy 1-0 win against Burnley. But I remember thinking then, I was like, yes, I can see this. And we've seen the progression through the last 3 years. So a lot of people will throw at us, we signed 35 players and we spent this money. Absolutely hear that, get that. And he's absolutely right. There's no denying it. Some of those signings haven't worked, and some of them haven't worked because they were signed because we needed the players then, and they were squad signings. Like, take Nuno Tavares. We needed a backup left back, but we weren't that great. Well, you're not going to go out and you're not going to go and, get Cucurella or, a top left back to be I'm not saying Cucurella is a top left back, but you know what I mean. You're going to have to take a punt. So some of those punts aren't going to work, and some of them are just get numbers through the door. Matt Ryan, those sorts of players. So, but I could see the squad building, and we've got most of our signings right when you've signed the players we really wanted. Vieira is the probable exception. I think Jesus was a good signing when he did it. He got a knee injury and that's killed him, but you can't sort of legislate for that. So I think he's done a good job there. So my view is exactly the same as your two, is he gets this season because he asked for 4 seasons. Well, this is the end of season 4, so you need to deliver. And I was always prepared to give him 4 seasons because actually I could see the mess we were in and it was always going to take time. It's why Manchester United have to find a manager and back them now and back them with a plan and stick to the plan, because I see them in the same situation we were in 4 years ago. They had to go, do you know what? It's Ruben Amorim. Obviously, Ten Hag, they had to move on because it was a disaster. Like we had to move on from Emery because it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
That's what we've been through. But you're exactly right. And this is where I've always been. So I can be quite positive about it because I genuinely rile against some of the overreaction as I see it in the fan base. And, and I'm not saying you two are overreacting or anything like that, but I will be like, I will appear to defend Arteta more than I am because I'm dealing with what I see as a bit of a ridiculousness. And sometimes the criticism that I will then give can get lost in that. But you're absolutely right. Mikel Arteta has to deliver a trophy this season. I actually really want it to be the Premier League because you said it for 4 years, and I really, really want to be right. But we all want to see the Premier League right. It's not about me being right. It's about us winning the Premier League. I still think we can, but he has to deliver a trophy this season, undoubtedly. If he doesn't, I don't think he can. I don't think he will be sacked, but I don't think he can have any complaints if he is sacked at the end of his season. I don't think that makes his tenure a disaster, but it does show he can't get it over the line. But what I do think is, if he wins one trophy, any trophy, I genuinely think that will be the last psychological hump that this side is struggling to get over. And I think that can be the catalyst for something. I really do. And I also think that this title isn't over, as I keep saying, but he has to get it right quickly now in the title. But as I say, so that's where I am. He has to deliver something this season. So I agree with you there. But I am not in a place where I can understand the despair. I can understand the negativity. We had 2 bad league results in a row where we've had a pretty decent side out. Like, we're only really missing, the defense hasn't lost it, and that's where the injuries have been, right?
Yeah. I think,
but he has to deliver now, and that's where I am. And there are criticism of him really quickly, just so I can provide the last balance, which is he has got to trust his squad more. That has been a consistent theme where he doesn't trust the squad. Right? What is wrong with Raheem Sterling? He is not a terrible player. He's not a world beater anymore, but he is not a terrible player. He has exactly. But he has to release that handbrake again. He really does. And they're the 2 things I will throw at him there, which are, you have to sort those out, because to be a top manager, you can get things wrong. Pep Guardiola has got things wrong. We all remember the Champions Leagues he didn't win 2-3 years in a row where he overcomplicated it. Look, all managers do that, and they'll get irritated when we pick on every little thing because they're never going to get 100% right. But those 2 things are the 2 big things he needs to get right. And because if he doesn't deliver, and if he doesn't deliver, he can have no complaints. But I am not like you. I'm not at the stage where he's Arteta out. I do also think it's an important question to ask on who do you get in, because you can't just go it's anyone, because that's not the answer. You have to get the right manager in, or else it doesn't work. So I think it's a legitimate question. But when I ask that question, I do ask that question a lot, it's not because I don't believe there's no one better out there. I think it has to be someone realistic you can get, and someone that actually fits what we're trying to do. Otherwise, you have to rebuild slightly and start again.
Yeah, I reckon in the last.
Sorry, that was a bit of a monologue, but thank you for letting me go through that.
No, I think that's well said, and believe it or not, he actually agreed with us, guys. So Seb, you're listening, mate. Dom actually does agree.
I've agreed for the last 2 weeks. I said it repeatedly. I slightly caveated with I somewhat agree, because I always rile against the hyperbole. Just as I rile against the hyperbole, it's like this: we've won a game, we're going to win every game for the rest of the season, which is, I sit somewhere between the 2, right? And I think that is I was talking to Lee from Google Gathering about this. I think where we're that little bit older is you then it's easier to find the balance, because you've got a lot of history that you've lived through to compare it against, which really helps.
Yeah. I was going to say, in the last 5 years, I think when I look at the summer transfer,
you come out of your training pants, right?
Huh?
I was taking the piss out of you being too young for me. so you guys make me feel old.
But yeah, what I was going to say is, last 5 years, in these like transfer windows, I've noticed that I think Arteta's got to a point where he's slowly overdoing the defense, which is starting to neglect the attack, if you know what I'm saying, because every game he's bringing on the same subs every week. Like, if an alien came down to watch Arsenal for the first time, and
you think George Graham was manager? Seriously, you would?
Yeah. Let's say an alien came down to watch Arsenal for the first time, and I said he's going to bring on Jesus, Trossard, Waneri for a 10-minute cameo, Jorginho to see out the game. I think I'm a genius. And I'm like, well, no, this is just our manager.
Yeah.
By the way, every single week.
I think, sorry, real quick, I think just on this comment, I think that's right. The fan base is turning, and it's understandable. I've said it a few times tonight. But I also don't think that we bought crap. What I do think is we've it's again why I talk about phase, right? When we signed Jesus, he was an upgrade on where we are. We've now gone past Jesus. Same with Zinchenko. So the players look crap, but that's because we've moved on, right? And that's why you have to keep evolving the squad. And so I can understand the defensive turnover. I can understand the focus on the defense. However, you're exactly right, Rory, which is why I keep saying we were an attacker light because we didn't do it in the summer. I have no problem with Sterling, but there had to be Sterling and.
Yeah, I mean, he believes that a strong defense is better than a super attack, and I think this is where he got it all wrong. Because
Look, history would bear him out on that.
You keep a clean sheet without winning a game of football. Like, when you win a game of football, you get 3 points, right?
Yep.
I think
that is right, but I also think I think the history does show that you still need a strong defense to win the title, but it has to come with a.
Yeah, I agree with that. But
you either have to have an elite attack and a good defense, or you have to have an elite defense and a good attack. If not one of those isn't true, then you're struggling.
Yeah, for me, I think you should build a strong defense when you've already built a good attacking team so that it complements the defense. It's not the other way around. You don't want to build the defense first and then build up the attack, although it doesn't look like we're signing any attackers anytime soon.
I don't think it matters which way around you do it, actually. Genuinely, I don't think it matters. We've seen Jose Mourinho win the league doing it that way. We saw Alex Ferguson
But
build his.
Arteta is not Jose Mourinho. Look, this is what I'm saying.
No, I'm not saying is. I'm just saying that in principle, you can build a defense first and then an attack. Jose Mourinho did it. Alex Ferguson did it. You can also do it the other way around. Jurgen Klopp proves that you can build your attack first and then your defense. So I think you can do it either way around. It doesn't matter. And I think it's probably somewhat market led. Where's the players, which players are available when, kind of half dictates that. I think there's also an ideology there, and Arteta is a more defensive and offensive manager, and I think those two mirror up. But I think you can do it either way around. I don't think it matters.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Like any other manager would have prioritised forwards before the defense. Like let's be honest here. Our defense was okay. It's just the attack. The
defense was not okay. It was Squillaci, Luis, Mustafi, Bellerin.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but the thing is, we had Saliba, 4 years ago, 4 to 5 years ago, didn't we? We signed him for 30 million.
Yeah, but he wasn't ready for
Premier League the following season. So we've had.
Yeah, but he wasn't ready straight away, was he? It's like Euro.
Yeah, I understand that, but it was definitely ready for first team action. I'd say when he went out on loan at Marseille, I think that was a perfect opportunity.
But he went back, didn't he, to France? He'd had a couple of family situations, so it was agreed.
Yeah.
So I don't think we can complain about how we've managed Saliba. I think you can make an argument for, did we need the extra defender in the summer? I think we did because we were one light, but it shouldn't have come at the expense of the attack. I think that's where we.
I don't think you should have built on, the defense. That's what I'm trying to say. You shouldn't have built on the defense. You should have reinforced the attack.
Yeah, because the attack. Look, we had a defense that could get through, right? It was good enough, definitely. You're exactly right that you know from that point of view that it needed the attacking building because that was where the weakness was this year. And just on this point here, does it look like an £800 million squad? Does it low? But also we've moved on some of those players that were part of that, right? I mean, a couple have proved to not be good enough, but that was always going to happen. If we're aiming for 100%, then no team has ever done it, right? I think of the big money players we have spent, where we signed a player that we didn't think was a risk, Fabio Vieira, in the last 3 years as a standout. I don't think there are any other real howlers. Some have, Jesus, if he hadn't got that knee injury, would have been a better signing he is. But you can't judge that because there was no history there. Like you really can't, from my mind. Tomiyasu again, it's been a good signing. It would have been better without the injuries, but again, no injury history there. Vieira's the one that stands out for me. Players like Lokonga were low risk, high reward. Martinelli was low risk, high reward. And when you're signing players like that, 9 times out of 10, they don't work out. But when they do work out, well done. But that's not to say he's got everything right. Of course he hasn't, but no one ever does, right? And right now, the squad doesn't look like it because he's not playing well, and he's got to fix that. To be clear, as I've said repeatedly, he has to fix that.
Yeah.
And that is on him. He has to find the solutions. He's the manager. If he doesn't, as we all said earlier, he goes at the end of the season. You pay the consequence because he's in deliver now. But look at the last 5 years. The first few years was about building it. He's in deliver now mode. last year was his first, for me, deliver now season.
Yeah, but the
You know,
problem is, if he doesn't deliver this season, they won't
He's got
sack
to
him
go.
for donkeys. Yeah, he has
No.
to go. I agree, but
Yeah,
they
and if you
won't
don't
sack.
sack him, then I want the board out. Simple. Because it's not
Yeah.
even Arteta's fault at that rate.
Exactly. I think that, then if at the end of a season we've won, unless you are in a situation where something horrific happens, like, do you remember that Liverpool season under Klopp where he had to get championship defenders in on loan that couldn't even get a championship game? Unless
Yeah.
you've got something like that for the whole entire season that just derails your whole season,
Mm.
then you could make the argument that he deserves one more. But even then, as I say, this would be year 2 of delivering. I can understand not delivering it in the first year because sometimes, we went close, we were against a juggernaut, and he's a first-time manager properly going for a title the first time. I never believed in that season 2 years ago we were going to win the title. I didn't think it was sustainable. I said it about Liverpool last year, it wasn't sustainable. It was the same with Arsenal then. But then he's failed for the second year because, as I say, I think he's in the win now window, to use the NFL term. And that's his second season of not doing it. At that point, it becomes, well, that is an excuse. It's not about actually seeing the picture and providing the context. That's excuses, and Kroenke's would be hiding behind excuses. I think that's the only scenario where I can see him keeping his job would be, do you know what? We finished second in the league. We got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and we do you know what? We had 9-10 players out for the entire second half of the season. Then okay, I'm all right with that. But that's a very extreme example, and it has to be something that bad. Otherwise, he goes. And if not, as you rightly say, questions have to be asked of the manager and they have to be asked of the board. I'm just not at that point yet. I'm really not, because like Rory said earlier, and I agree entirely, I think the manager has shown that he can turn it around in the past. I think the squad is still good enough to win silverware, and we should let that play out. But if he doesn't, you use it in the summer, and you find a manager that fits what we have now. I don't want to see a complete tear up of the squad, because that means we're waiting another year or two to do something. You want to get the manager in that fits the way we are playing now, and might be able to get that last little bit. Arteta could be a Poch, or he could prove to be a Pep Guardiola. We don't know at this moment in time.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah.
Right now, with where we are, you'd probably argue he's near a Poch because things aren't going well. But football can turn very quickly.
Yeah,
and the reality is he probably will never be a Pep, but you get what I'm pointing out. I was using it as an example rather than specific.
Yeah, I can't lie, lads. If Arteta was going to come into my restaurant at the weekend, I wouldn't go up to talk to him. I can't even lie to you. I'm not talking to him.
You definitely would have. But AFC always is right. By the way, AFC always is right.
No chance am I talking to him.
I'm
gonna let my steak go cold for him. Sorry.
But AFC always is right. You have to win elite trophies, which is what I'm saying. We're in win now mode. To be really clear, I am saying he has to win trophies, because the rebuilding phase has happened. That had to happen. He's done it very, very well. He has to deliver on that now. At no point do I deny that's the case. I never have.
Yeah, facts.
I genuinely thought Rory had left and that was his chair. I was looking at them because his hood was down.
What?
Just the angle of your head made it look like you'd left. I thought Rory's left for a wee.
I got to watch on playback.
But yes, guys, let's move on to we're going to quickly talk about Wednesday night's game, Carabao Cup action, quarterfinals. Obviously, Palace, London derby, Premier League opposition at the Emirates. I expect some rotation, man. Listen, don't get twisted. I'm not saying that's not a bigger fish to fry like we've been saying. We want to win this trophy big time. This is a trophy that we won twice in the history of Arsenal. We want to go far. We want to win this trophy now.
We're awful in this competition, aren't we?
Yeah, very, very bad, man. Very.
We remember
that. We remember that final, like, against Birmingham people.
Oh,
and then when I
actually think I cried that day. I honestly think I did.
Awful. But I mean, this is a competition where obviously, as you rightly said, we ain't great in, under Arteta as well. I mean, he got us to semi-finals in that 21 season when we played Liverpool. But other than that, it's been early round exits in the Carabao Cup. But listen, we're back in the quarterfinals for this stage. As I said, I think don't take the mick with it, but I want to see players like Nwaneri be given the start. I think this is where he will be starting this game. You see him playing the other Carabao Cup matches. you got to sign him this game. I actually want to see Sterling play and start this match.
Yeah, I do too.
And I want to see my guy. Probably won't happen, but Tierney at left back. It'd be interesting to see, guys, the goalkeeper situation, because obviously Neto's cup tied.
Yeah.
Do you go Raya again, or would he throw in a Tommy Set for this type of game? I think you got to go Raya again, personally.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah, I
go
agree.
Ryan.
You got to go Raya,
He's
yeah.
a Premier League opponent, for crying out loud.
Yeah, you got to. So yeah, this is the thing. We go Raya and goal, but listen, Palace have sort of turned a corner. Their recent games, obviously, they beat.
Just in time to play us.
Ironic, ain't it? Well, as soon as they play us back to back, ain't it? But I think they beat Ipswich, and then since that game,
They beat Brighton yesterday.
Beat Brighton, yesterday, like 3-1. I was shocked about that.
So were Brighton
away
fans.
from home as well. Away from home as well.
It was at the MX.
Yeah.
It's that, by the way, is the weirdest derby in the world, the M23 derby.
What is that derby? Yeah. But yeah, listen, look, it's London derby. You know, Palace is always going to give us a good game. I think, you know, I do see Arsenal progressing into semi-finals.
We should. I mean, if not,
yeah.
I mean, he has to, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, AFC always has said here, forget the FA Cup. I mean, you can't take it away from him, but as I said, it wasn't his team, right? And he, you know, so it's his trophy, but I didn't get excited about it. But he has to win at least. I think even if you win to League Cup, you've got to sort of assess, do we think this team can go on from there, right? But I mean, Rory's just said it just now. This is our best chance because we're in the quarterfinals. The FA Cup, you know, I think we can beat Manchester United, but ultimately we're in the third round where we've got the 4th, 5th, 6th semis final to go, right? You've got 6 rounds or whatever it is to win, right? This one, we've got 4 games and, you know, one's a double leg, you know, so you can lose one and win the other.
The thing is, right, if we do win a League Cup and finish runners-up, Premier League title race, I don't know, but...
That's got to be the minimum for me.
Yeah, it's a trophy.
Yeah, or an FA Cup at best, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. League Cup is a minimum.
Just because we've beaten, you know, insert team, whatever, in the final, in either the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup, is important for us the following seasons to then kick on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we can't win a League Cup this season and then go another 5 years without winning a trophy.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, let's just relax, guys.
Let's
relax, guys.
It's why I say on phases. We've built the phase now. The squad now has to keep winning. So it has to win something this year. It has to win something next year. You know, and it's why I talk about the who next question is important. Because if you have to get that right, because this is a squad that can be built on and can win things. So you have to get it right. So that's why it's an important question to ask. It doesn't mean there isn't an answer, but absolutely, you have the minimum. The minimum is the League Cup this year, and it has to then be built on next year. And by the way, I really, if you said we've won the League Cup this year, of course I'm happy. But I'm disappointed because I think that what we have done should be able to deliver more than a League Cup. What I do rail against is it's one trophy in 5 years. Yes, it's true, but also we did have to go through all of the stuff to get to this point, and that was always going to need to happen. But what's your side for this one, Rory, tomorrow?
Raya in goal.
Yeah,
I go Timber at right back, Tierney as the left back, but it won't happen. Obviously, probably Lewis Skelly, which I won't be against. Because he does need more minutes if he is going to be the starting left back for a couple of games now, due to Calafiori being injured and Zinchenko until January, apparently.
Zinchenko or Calafiori? Which one?
Well,
sorry, I did both. Is it? I hadn't heard that. So
yeah, Zinchenko, I think, has had another major setback until like January minimum. So it's going to have to be Timber right back, Lewis Skelly or Tierney as a left back, and then the 2 centre backs. I wouldn't mind one of Saliba and Gabriel rested. I would like to see Kivior and Gabriel because Gabriel didn't play. I think was it 2 games before the Everton game.
Yeah, he missed 2 games.
Yeah.
Well, 2.5 games. He basically came off at half time, didn't he?
Yeah,
he did come off at half time.
Although 2 left-footed centre backs, I don't know.
I know that's a bit that worries me, but you know, Saliba playing every minute is worrying me as well.
Yeah. To be fair, I probably rest Saliba for this one because he has played a lot of minutes. So I'll go Kivior, Gabriel, one of Lewis Skelly and Tierney, and then midfield I'll go Partey, Rice, and Waneri. And then Saka on the right, Sterling on the left, and up front I'm gonna go Jesus. Purely because we are a better team with Jesus. It's not because Jesus is brilliant and I think we still should move him on. But at the moment, we do look like a better team with Jesus through the middle than we do with Havertz.
I'd go Havertz up front, but tell Arteta needs to tell him to stay in the middle.
Yeah,
because I think you do that, we look a better team.
Jesus through the middle and Saka on the right. Well, we do look more threatening and we look more fluid.
Yeah, I think it's because we're telling the strength forward to stay in the middle, which we're not at the moment. Which is, again where we go back to the criticism of Arteta I have is you're too defensive and you don't rotate enough. I think for me,
swear to God, not in
if that happens, I'm going to be so angry.
I've been calling him. I've been calling him Eddie No Fretia this whole time.
No.
What you can say? What's really odd though is but he's not been. He's been playing a weird position at Palace.
Yeah, I reckon Palace would be a better team without him starting anyway.
Well, I think the thing is, if you sign Nketiah, you play him up front. Not in. They're not playing him up front. I'm like, well, he's not going to do that.
They didn't need him, Palace.
Well, yeah, it was an odd one for them to sign, right? I mean, I still think Nketiah can get you, 8 to 10 goals if you're a Palace type side, but only if you play him up front. I mean that's his level, right? But it better not score against us. I'll be so sad. But you just know it's going to happen. I mean, my side would be.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, I'd be Raya in goal. I then think you're going to have to play Partey either in the league game or the League Cup. You're going to have to do it at right back.
I'll go full strength.
But I think it's difficult. I think that would be a medical decision. I think if Timber's fit, I think you just need to win and you need to lift the fan base. So I go Timber. But if
what's this?
Oh, jeez.
No, it's just Tom's comment.
Tom, have you been drinking, mate?
He was class.
Eddie came on front on Sunday was class.
Oh, come on.
But so I mean, if Timber's, depending on what the medical guys say, if he's available, I think you just have to try and win this game and lift the fan base. So I'd go Timber, but Partey's going to play one of the two games at right back, and he's going to need to. I think you're going to have to play Saliba because I just don't like Kivior and Gabriel. I think you go Saliba, Gabriel, and then at left back, if Lewis Skelly is fit, then I go with him. I don't think he's going to be. Excuse me. At which point, I think you then play Kivior at left back.
Really, over Tierney?
I don't think Tierney's going to play for Arsenal again, right?
What about Lewis Skelly?
I've just said I don't think if Lewis Skelly needs to rest because he's just come back from injury.
Would he play 3 games in a row as well, Lewis Skelly?
Exactly. It might be a bit of an ask. So, I mean, the back four is going to be.
He's ready for opportunities, Tierney.
What was going to say? I mean, he lied. Let's be clear. He lied, right? Tierney is not going to play for Arsenal. I mean, if he plays, then fine. But you're changing the whole style of how you play, and it's just not going to happen. So I mean,
as well, for fuck's sake.
I don't want to see him inverting. He can't do it very well.
No.
But that means you then play a different style, which then means you change the way you set up the team all of a sudden with 2 days to prepare and practice it, right? So I think the back four is always difficult, but I think you've got to go the first 2 centre halves. Then it's Partey or Timber, whichever one's fittest at right back. And then if Miles Lewis Skelly is fit, you start him. You've got to be careful when he's just come back off injury and he's so young, which is why I think it'd be Kivior because there isn't anyone else. Because I don't want to see Timber and Rice. Timber and Partey. Not because I think it can't work, but because we need to manage them through until we get some defenders back, and neither reliable. So I mean, the defense is really difficult. Midfield, I would probably go with Jorginho and. Do you know what? For this one, I'd take a risk. I'd go Jorginho, Odegaard, and Waneri.
Yeah.
I like Moreno. I really do. I think he can come good, but I don't like a Moreno and Jorginho. I think it's too slow and cumbersome.
Yeah.
And I think Rice probably just needs a bit of a rest again if he's carrying this knock. And then it's got to be Saka on the right, Havertz up front, and Sterling on the left. But I think Arsenal can make 2 or 3 changes, and it should be enough to win this game. And if it isn't, it's not acceptable for the second game running.
Yeah. By the way, I agree with that comment that AFC Always was sent. By the way, Declan Rice has regressed under Arteta, and that gets me on to my next question. Right? How many fucking players is this manager going to regress?
I don't think that's true at all.
I mean,
I fundamentally do not think that's true.
He has made players better, but don't you agree that some of them, including Declan Rice, who he spent £100 million on? I mean, he spent £100 million on a DM that he doesn't play DM.
So, I mean, I think there's some truth to that, right? Rice for me is a 6, and he plays 8, but he's played 8 because we tried Havertz last year, and he did as the 8, and it didn't work. And that he's been fine as a 9, but he didn't work as 8. So you got to play someone there, right? I don't think that's his position. I think as a 6, he's good. But last season, I thought Declan Rice was excellent, really excellent. Now, we don't notice him as much in this Arsenal side as we do in the West Ham side because he was the West Ham side. There was him and Kudus, and that's about it in that West Ham side. So you don't notice him so much. But I think Rice is a better player now than he was when he signed. This season he's not been great, but Rice himself has said he hasn't physically felt at it. And he's not had a rest, right, for pretty much 2 summers. They went late into the Conference League. Then, then he plays a whole season for Arsenal. Then he does the Euros and he's playing again, right? So I think there are players that have regressed under Arteta. I think that's true of every manager, though, right? Some because of injury. Jesus has got worse because he got that knee injury. He's never been the same again. Martinelli has been inconsistent. I think he's not improved and kicked on like we hoped he would. Now, that can happen to players, but I also wonder whether that's because Arteta has asked him to focus too much on the defensive side when he's our left winger and should be focusing on the attacking side. Love his defensive work, but I do wonder if that is an Arteta thing there.
No, I
think it's true. I think it's true of some players. I just don't think that's true of the majority of players. And I don't think it's true of Declan Rice. I just think Declan Rice, and he said himself, he's not physically at it this season because he hasn't had a rest.
Tom, I think Rice has regressed this season from what he was last season. Best DM, I'd say him and Rodri, best defensive midfielders on the planet. This season, not to say he's been awful, but
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, from the play he was last season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just to be really clear, on Rice, he's worse this season, but I don't think that's the manager. I think that is he needs a rest because he hasn't had one. I mean, Rice himself is saying the issue is he's not had a rest. So I agree, AFC Always. Rice has been worse this season, absolutely, undoubtedly. Yeah. What I disagree with is that's because of the manager. I think that is because of his physical condition. And actually, do you know what? He has been much better since he had that little rest that he got when he withdrew from England, etc., etc. I think he's become much better, and I think he's better in the 6. But I don't think he's regressed because of the manager. I think he's regressed because he's tired and needs that rest.
Yeah, I hear that.
But he's definitely worse this season. No question. Yeah. I mean, the eye test says it. The stats say it.
Yeah, just quickly on the lineup, I was about to say this as well in terms of Martinelli. I would play him as a striker.
He's never going to try it.
He won't do it.
But Martinelli as a striker.
He won't try it.
For me,
I don't think Arteta ever played him as a striker.
I don't think he has. I don't think.
Did he play? I think he played 2 games, didn't he, or something daft? But I agree, he's not going to try it.
I don't know. For me, my team would be Rare in goal, Tierney. If not, probably has to be what Dom said, because if Skelly ain't fit, who else you going to go with? It's got to be either Tierney or Kiwior at left back. So either one of those. Gabriel, obviously Saliba, Timber right back.
Defense is hard, isn't it? Because you just don't know who's fit.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Because, I mean, I don't know what's happened to Tomiyasu. That guy's so injured, guys. He came on 5 weeks
by the way.
He's injured.
Sorry, Josh, to interrupt, but I just want to get this question across, right? Yeah. Well, how can it possibly not be the manager's fault if you're saying, he needs a rest?
Well, my point being that he's not regressed as a player. His performance was worse this season because he needs a rest. So I think we should, you can argue that he should have rested him, and that is the manager. But I don't think he's regressed as a player. Regression of a player means he's got objectively worse and will be worse as a result of the manager. I don't think he's worse as a manager. I think his performance has been worse because he's tired. So yes, you can make the argument that the manager should rest him. That is perfectly fine, but it's not a regression in his ability. A regression for me is the ability, right? His ability has not got worse. His performance has got worse this season because he's just tired. And also players will go through natural dips in form. I also agree, ASL, is that you play him as a 6, not an 8. Well, I think he's played an 8 out of necessity last year, where, by the way, he did a good job at 8. I just don't like it. But he's played at 8 a lot this season because we played Partey or Jorginho at 6 because Moreno was injured. Moreno's now started to come back into the side, and we're seeing Rice shift back to 6, and I think that's what we should see. So, it's up to you whether you want to blame the manager or not. My view on it is simply his body. We need to give him a rest. We started to see his minutes managed now to try and help with that. I think you rest him in this game. And if you need to rest him again on Saturday, do it. If you can't beat Palace twice without Declan Rice, then, we might as well all go home, right?
Yeah.
But he has not regressed as a player under Arteta. He was fantastic last season. This season he has been worse, but it's over a half a season, and I think give him a rest and you see him come back, which means he's not regressed. He just needs that little rest, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, I said on Martinelli, by the way, that's a player that hasn't kicked on, and Arteta plays a role in that. So it's not like it's not like I say every player's improved under him. Like, there are players that haven't. It's just I don't agree that the majority have regressed under him, and I don't agree that Declan Rice has regressed under him.
Yeah, I've got into obviously your midfield. I agree. Odegaard and Nwaneri in there for me for this game. I'll start them both. I'll probably actually, I don't know. Do you play Partey? Who do you say, Dom? You said Jorginho.
Yeah, I said Jorginho at 6, go rest Rice, and I think we're going to have to manage Partey and Timber through the right back situation.
Oh yeah, you said about the right back. Yeah.
Because that's just what we've got, right? We haven't got other options because Tommy's out, White's out, Zinchenko's out, Calafiori's out.
Yeah,
you're running out of defenders, and Kieran Tierney might as well not be there because you can use him as an option, but it's not going to happen. And I get why it's not going to happen. But I think sometimes there's a needs must, and that's where he's a bit too stubborn. But it's not going to happen, and that's why I went Jorginho there. But I don't like a Jorginho Moreno. I don't. It's not enough legs in that.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Tierney's there to win his Scottish accent. You know what I'm saying, guys?
Tierney's going to go out on loan. He needs to. There's no point in being around, right? I mean, we didn't have a choice.
He's Cedric, isn't he? Tierney, and he's nowhere near Cedric, by the way. Like, Cedric was dead food, but
Cedric was brought in
to get Cedric situation. Just doesn't play. He's just there to feed win. That's what he's there for.
So the question lies on Arteta then. He's only the team.
Yeah, no, by the way, I'm quite enjoying the debate. I wasn't cross with you at all. Just for the good questions, I just want to, just explain that the regression's not there. I agree. You've got to you got to rest him, but we've also got. You're looking around and going. Sometimes you can't rest him because anything else,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's right. He has to take responsibility for not resting him, but it's not a regression. I suppose it's a semantics about what the word regression means. Yeah. But I'm enjoying it. I mean, quite happy to take the challenge. I love that. It's what we love about football, right? I'm not right all the time. No one is. I'm right 99% of the time, of course. But I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm not. It's 99.9. But yeah, no, I got he wasn't having to go. We've had debates in the chat before. We've agreed before. I think that's really important. So I'm not pissed AFC always. If I was, I'd give you the death stare. It's what my children get.
Yeah, guys.
But yeah. So your midfield because it's difficult. I mean, I don't like a Nwaneri Odegaard, but I think sometimes need must.
Needs must. Yeah. For me, I'll play Partey in there, and I'll put Timber right back. So I'll go Partey, Odegaard, Nwaneri, and then I'd go Sterling. This guy's got to start surely.
I agree.
And Saka, I mean, yeah, Saka again playing there. And then it's going to be, as I said earlier, Martinelli down the middle, but he will not do this.
That's
so
not going to happen. By the way, if Partey and Timber, if the medical staff think they can get through to the best part of 290s, on Wednesday, and is it Saturday or Sunday this week? I think it's
Saturday, yeah.
Ben, I think you do that. I've just made the assumption, a bit like with Miles Lewis-Skelly, that they're not fit to get through every single one of them, which is why, but that's what makes it so difficult, because we've got a few players, with the games Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, you don't quite know where they are in that red zone, which makes it so hard to predict the side and say what you're going to do, right?
Exactly. I mean, would he go bold enough to play Nichols at right back if that's the case?
Well, apparently he's injured as well.
Oh, he's injured as well.
Well, he was injured for the Fulham game. I don't know if he's back now, but yeah, he wasn't fit for the Fulham game, or there was certainly a doubt over him, and I don't think he made the bench that day, which would suggest he wasn't fit. But I thought, was he back on Saturday? I can't remember now.
I can't remember looking at our bench.
But I think with Nichols, I don't think he's ever going to be a full Arsenal player. I could be wrong. Like, you never know with anyone, right? But I looked at him against Preston and thought he did all right. I mean, he got an assist in that, but you could just see he wasn't quite developed enough for me, and he sort of struggled. I think he's a guy that needs to go out on loan and play, League One Championship football for a season or two. Because you could just sort of see physically he did all right, but he just looked a little bit light. And of course he's 17 or 18, whatever he is, right, against fully grown adults. Like, his body's still growing and developing. So I'm not criticizing for that. But, as a defender, that's more important than if you're an attacker or midfielder in some ways. And just positionally, you could see he had a little bit to learn. And, not surprised, he's a 17-year-old kid, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so if that's the case, then I'll go Havertz again. I'll go Havertz again up front, man. Like, Jesus, for me, he's just not. He's not cutting it out, all people.
I get Rory's point, though. I don't know what you think.
Though, like, you see when he comes off the bench, guys, like, his body language. Like, I remember the game against Fulham. This guy was scared to go out for challenges.
He was scared to go for that shot. I agree. Look, we talked earlier in the season, right? Martinelli, and I've lumped Jesus in. I think I made this point last week, which was they looked like they needed a goal for confidence. And Martinelli, to some extent, has gone on. He's not hit the heights he did 2 years ago or where we want him. Jesus, I mean, he has scored his EFL Cup goal, but I'm not convinced even a goal sorts him out right now. He just looks done, and it's such a shame. And it all goes back to that knee injury a couple of years ago. But I do think Rory has a point, right, that we do look better when he's on the pitch, because, and this is where, like I've said it about 10 times tonight, that's where the manager has to take some responsibility. He's asking Havertz to do too much. No, just that's fine. But once we got the ball in that final third, I want Havertz. Yeah. I don't want him on the right wing. I want him bombing into the penalty area. So if we ask Havertz to do that, Havertz is the better option than Jesus. But Rory's point on why you'd start Jesus is valid, which is we stretch the pitch that little bit more. But Havertz can do that. We saw him do that against Monaco.
Yeah.
Yes, his goal's lucky, but he's lucky because he's got into the right place.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I would start Jesus, because I think Havertz was so effective off the bench against Monaco midweek.
Yeah, so I think that is his best role going forward, but not in this team right now. But he was also effective because he was asked to go straight through the middle. That's what he was asked to do. He didn't go into those wide areas so much.
I also think Jesus is better when he's starting than he is coming off the bench.
I think that's true.
Maybe, yeah.
I think that is true. Some players are better off the bench. Some, Trossard, I think, is still better off the bench. Some players are better starters. I think Jesus is a better starter. The problem is, I just don't know how you fix Jesus. I don't think you can. I don't think you can fix Jesus at Arsenal. Maybe he goes somewhere else and it reinvigorates him. We sometimes see that with players, but I can't start Jesus. But that's a problem. I can't start Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Havertz can't play every game. It's like Manchester City. Who plays up front if Haaland isn't fit? He can't play every minute. I mean, the good news is he doesn't run that much. And I'm not criticizing him, it's his game, right? Which probably means he can play more minutes than other players because he doesn't have the physical exertion. But, we can't do that to Havertz because, well, we can't. You just can't trust Jesus right now.
Yeah. Let's get some score predictions for Wednesday. I'm going tight 2-1. I'm going 2-1 Arsenal.
Me too.
Really tight game.
You know what? I've got a horrible feeling going into this game. I really do.
I do too. I had it on Saturday. I said to my coach, someone I coach with, he's an Everton fan. He was like, "You're going to blow us away today." I was like, "I have a horrible feeling we're not."
The thing is, my head's saying like 2-0 or 2-1 to Palace. Like, remember when we lost to Southampton in the League Cup in 2017? It's kind of.
I know what you're saying.
I never predict us to lose. I never predict Arsenal to lose because I still back my team. I'm gonna go 2-0 because, to be fair, we're not conceding many goals lately. It's just attacking wise, we're just hopeless, toothless at the moment.
Yeah.
Nothing up top.
I mean, you know, like I said at the start, I think it's fixable, but I can genuinely understand the doom and gloom. I'm quite positive generally, which, you know, I hope I'm right. Like, I have been right more than I've been wrong in the last few years. But you know, there is that sort of, the atmosphere is a bit worrying around Arsenal at the moment, and I can understand it. I think it's overblown, but I can understand it. And you know, I am nervous. I am nervous about Wednesday. I was bullish about it 2 weeks ago, but I am nervous about it now.
I feel like everything about Arsenal right now is just doom and gloom. Like, even the stadium announcers are shambles.
What's it brewing off at the weekend, right?
Like, what's going on?
With the Saka one.
We were booed off at the weekend, right? I mean, it's symbolic. It's symbolic about where we are right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's calling out the first names every time on the team sheet, and I'm like, just fucking hell, man.
I hate that.
Yeah.
How long does a kickoff build-up have to take? We just want to watch the match.
Yeah, it's for real, man. Listen, guys. Yeah, man. I'm going to 2-1. I'm going 2-1 Wednesday.
It's getting late. Can I ask one question though?
Yeah, go on.
What if you could make one realistic sign-in in January? Who would it be? And I mean realistic, like, it's not going to be Isaac, it's not going to be Gyökeres, it's not going to be, you know, Mbappe.
It ain't going to be Kudus.
No, I don't think so. I mean, West Ham, I don't think are going down, but right now with the situation around the place and the move around the place, they can't sell Kudus. And I'm not sure. And I'm also not sure we can afford, like, you know, 70 million, which is probably what he costs.
Realistic. I'm trying to think of strikers out there. Probably Gerrard, Aston Villa.
It's Osimhen loan deal.
He said today he's staying in Galatasaray now. I don't necessarily agree.
Well, I was just saying.
Yeah, but I'm not sure I believe that fully. But
well, I'm saying Gerrard at Aston Villa.
Gerrard.
Do you reckon Villa will sell him?
Well, he's not playing week in, week out, and if he's scoring 11 goals.
Yeah, he had a hot streak though, didn't he? I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I just wonder how much of a hot streak he is. If you get him on loan, that would be great. I wouldn't go a permanent transfer for him right now.
Yeah, but like, in terms of realistic option, when Watkins is starting over him most of the season and he's coming off the bench making that sort of impact.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good signing. I just don't know if Villa sell.
I think it will. I really do.
Yeah, fair dues. Yeah, good shout. I don't think Villa sell, but yeah, I'm not sure I sign him permanently, but you know, I wouldn't. It's one of those ones I wouldn't be complaining about too much, but I worry about his sample size. It's quite small.
Shit! Oh shit! Do you know what I forgot to? I put in the title and everything about, because I was going to talk about if you had time, some transfer rumors about
Vlahovic.
Yeah, Vlahovic.
That's bollocks. Yeah. We ain't signing him.
I don't want him. No.
I don't want him. I don't think he's really for sale. I think his agent is angling for a new contract for him. Yeah. And I don't think Juventus are selling him right now. I think that's absolute pony.
It is, ain't it?
Farewell.
But my concern about Duran is just, you know, I'm not convinced. I think it falls into a realistic category, although I don't think Villa. I'd worry about the sample size. But do you know what? If you gave me Duran or Vlahovic, I'm taking Duran and the gamble
Yeah,
every day of the week.
100%.
But I think
Every day of the week.
he's a project. He's a project pick where it might work, it might not.
This is a guy that didn't want Arsenal for starters before he signed for Juve.
I don't blame him for that, by the way. I mean, I don't think he ever came out and said he wanted Arsenal, to be clear. I think his agent did to get the deal done with Juventus. I'm not going to criticise him for that, but I just don't want him. I didn't want him at the time, overly, to be honest. Maybe I did, I can't remember. But either way, I don't want him now.
What would be your signing then, Dom?
Well, do you need another minute to think it through?
Mate, all the ones that well, they shouldn't be unrealistic, but January just don't see it happening. But all the ones I'm thinking of is Isaac, thinking of Gyökeres, thinking of Lookmans, thinking of Williams, thinking of all these players, man.
So
we should be signing really, but we won't do it in January.
I think it's I think it's got to be a forward. And I said about Jonathan David a couple of weeks ago, I'd like him. He's out of contract in the summer. I think he scored goals in France. He's scoring goals in Europe. He can play on the left. He can play up front, which gives he can come in and spot Havertz for a while. I think he's good technically, good presser. Not sure if Lille will sell because they might just go, do you know what? We might get 30 million for him. But if we qualify for the Champions League next year, that's 80. And if we don't have David, can we get in? So I've got one, and I did a video on this today, actually, which is Mbermo from Brentford. Brentford aren't getting Europe. They're not going down. He can play on the right or up front, which means there's your Saka backup. He basically replaces Jesus in the squad. He's 24, 25. He's very direct, which gives you something different. He's predominantly left-footed, which means, he's a literal Saka replacement from that point of view. He scores goals. And I think and again, you can sign him for a realistic fee, probably 40, 50 million. And he probably knows he's a squad player, a bit like Jonathan David. He knows he's a squad player next year, which means you can still go out and buy another forward next year. And so they're the two for me. I wouldn't be against Eze at Crystal Palace as a bit of a game changer. Someone with a bit different off the bench, right? But I predominantly want a forward, and I think he's more of an 8 in midfield. But if you find an Eze or went and triggered Zubimendi's release clause, and now it depends. Zubimendi apparently now more open to a move, but let's see. If we did that against the forward, I'd rather see the forward. But do you know what? If you got a real, if you got one of those two were available in January and you couldn't get one of those forward targets, I wouldn't be against that. But I would be looking at Mbermo or Jonathan David. Because I think they're good forward options that will be squad players.
Yeah, great.
And I think that's where you got to look in January, because it's highly unlikely you get an Isaac or a Gyökeres. I mean, you could get Gyökeres because you could trigger the release clause, but he can't play in the Champions League. He doesn't appear open to a move at this point, but I think you could probably tempt him. But I don't know how affordable it is, because if you trigger the release clause, that's one hit on your PSR.
I could see us getting Sesko,
Yeah, I kind of understand why.
He's got 10 goals now, hasn't he? This season, 10 goals, 5 assists. Sesko.
I kind of understand though why.
I don't know about him yet, man. I'll be real.
I think it's like Duran, isn't it? The sample size is a bit small.
Yeah.
It's why I understood the striker market in the summer, why we didn't do it. Like, Sesko was a market opportunity once he said no. But Gyökeres had one season at the top level, although I always fancied him when he was at Coventry, to be honest. And I mean fancy him as a player, not literally. Isaac had injury issues so you can understand the reticence, and didn't want to leave Newcastle very clearly because no one made a bid for him. So you can understand that, but actually, do you know what? That's for the summer. It's not going to happen now. Like I say, Gyökeres you could get because of release scores, but I don't think it's affordable because suddenly your 70 million has to hit in one season. You can't spread it because it's release clause.
All right.
I don't know the PSR. Maybe we've got it all now. We've made those sales, but we were told at the start of the window that it wasn't going to be, a massive spending window because it's not there, and that kind of was borne out over the summer. So I'm not sure we've got it, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope we have got it, but I don't think we have.
What do you guys make of this one? Rumors again about Rashford.
I tell you what, That is such
It's
an
that
Arteta
early.
signing as well. That's such an Arteta signing, and I can see it happening at some point.
I really hope it doesn't. I've always felt that this is a crap rumour, but I think that's half hope. Rashford, for me, does absolutely nothing for you because predominantly we're playing against a low block, and Rashford doesn't unlock that. It's like the Martinelli conversation. Martinelli I keep because I play him in 20 games a season when you're either chasing a late goal or, against a tired defence, or you're starting against Tottenham who play up, but with the line so high, it's practically in Leeds. I mean, it's, Rashford's the same. We've got Martinelli, and I'd rather have Martinelli than Rashford. I also think he's a bit of a problem. I think he's a bit of a dick, and you just don't want that. So I really hope that's not true.
I've never rated Rashford on high wages as well.
If you're getting him on loan and you can't get anyone else in, then maybe, but that's about as good as it gets.
But you have to pay half of his wages.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to. I'm just saying. I think we need a body in. So if it was a loan, I'd do it, but not a permanent. But it would be like there's no other options available. By the way, I think this is a good shout on João Pedro.
João Pedro, yeah.
But again, it's a small sample size. But would you go for Evan Ferguson on loan? Because apparently he's available on loan.
No.
On loan.
No,
I'll take him on a loan. I'll be real.
I think that ship has sailed. I think that ship has sailed.
He's only 20.
Yeah, he's 20.
Yeah, but come on, we're Arsenal Football Club. Like, we can't be bringing in these young prodigies anymore.
I think right now
we'll be ready in 5 years' time, and we need to win now.
Yeah, we're talking about a loan, though. Just
no.
We're not,
no.
I'd rather him than nothing.
I'd rather him than nothing. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm willing to wait on Evan Ferguson. I think he'll be a decent player in the future. But let's be honest, last season, where was he?
He barely played.
He was injured. I'll give him that.
Injured, yeah.
I mean, I agree with you to some extent. Am I signing him? No. Am I signing him? No. But right now, if I had Evan Ferguson on loan or now, I'm going Evan Ferguson on loan.
No, I mean, he's third choice striker for Brighton. Yes, he's 20, still young, but like,
I mean, Danny Welbeck, he should be starting over Danny Welbeck, but Danny Welbeck is on fire.
Welbeck's
cooking, man. He's still got it, Danny Welbeck.
I love Danny Welbeck.
Yeah, I love him as well. It's just injuries, isn't it?
Yeah, but this season
he can be on ice at times. I've never seen a player that was so good but so brilliant.
Always remember his goal against Leicester.
Yeah.
Quality.
I mean, I think Danny Welbeck was his place
moment 2 seasons ago, wasn't it?
If Danny Welbeck got injured tomorrow, I think Evan Ferguson would take his place and probably keep it.
No, but right now, it's João Pedro at the moment.
Yeah, but they play two. They play two, don't they, at the moment? They're playing.
Yeah, but before the injury, wasn't Ferguson Brighton's main striker?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, then he got injured.
He got that injury. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong; it's a risk, right? And if you're saying you got to buy him on a permanent, I don't do it. But
I agree.
If I'm getting him on a loan, I'm not against it at all. It's again not my first choice. It's not my first choice
now. We're in the winning phase. Like, are we really in the right frame of mind to loan in Ferguson? 20 years of age.
Yeah,
if
this was the summer, Rory, I agree. You don't.
I don't really want that anymore.
Yeah, but your options are limited in January, right? You're not talking about the big boy leagues in January, in all likelihood.
Well, Duran.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if Villa are selling him in January.
Hey, Rory,
if you throw money on the table, then
yeah, but I don't think the money's there to throw it on the table. I really don't.
How do you know? How do you know how much he's worth?
None of us do, right? We don't know how much we got, and we don't know how much he's worth. But I suspect Villa would be like, do you know what? I think we got a gem in our hands here, and if we sell him now, we've only got Ollie Watkins. And
I mean, he was available in the summer, wasn't he?
He was, yeah, but he's not now.
Yeah,
I don't think. I mean,
so what's?
I mean, if you're given a choice between Duran or Ferguson, I'm definitely taking Duran. But but if Evan Ferguson is the only one you can get in, I'm taking it. It's whereas I wouldn't take certain strikers for any money.
What for you, Dom, is stopping us from getting like a Gyökeres in January? Is it you don't see him leaving Sporting, or is it just because of the release clause?
I mean, if you take him at his word, he wants to stay in Sporting. I think the situation has probably changed because it's gone disastrously wrong for them since Amorim left. I think it's 1-2 wins since Amorim left in 6-7.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me to some extent. And they're going, well, he stopped scoring goals. Like, well, again, as a striker, you are somewhat dependent on the ball getting to you, somewhat. Because if you go and get it all the time, well, then you're not in the box to score it. So maybe that situation changed, but I mean, I'm guessing, right? None of us know, but I'm assuming that our PSR is tight. It's over 3 years. We spent a lot of money. We were reportedly selling close to the win last season, and I think, the club did come out and say don't expect big splashes of money this season. And, everyone was like, it's a negotiating tactic, myself included. But you look at the summer and go, well, it might well have been true, And if you trigger that release clause, as I understand it, and I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, someone tell me, like, I'm happy to be corrected. But as I understand it, if you do the release clause, that's you can't spread your PSR hit. And isn't it sad, a state of affairs when we're talking about PSR rather than football? But if you can't spread the PSR hit, well, Arsenal would be in breach. And if we're in breach, well, we've seen the league get a little bit tight on this with Forest and Everton being done recently, and City currently facing 115 charges. Like, if we do that and breach and get a 6-7 point deduction, well, that is the league gone. York isn't making that up because we've already got to make up what we've got to make up. So I suspect that's why York. But if we got the money, then I'd be like, let's have a chat, because I think I think he'd be more open to it than he probably was 2 months ago. I just don't think it's affordable. And that's why I think you have to be realistic in January, which is why I sort of phrased a question like that.
Can we not use the money that we sold from Smith Rowe and Eddie Nketiah to fund it?
Yeah, so we get that all as one hit this year, right? So PSR is a 3-year rolling. So if we were really, really close to the wind, we beforehand we made a surplus in the summer. Was it 30 million profit we made in the summer? I can't remember.
Nah, I can't.
Anyway, whatever it is, so we will have the profit in the summer, and we'll be able to we'll be able to spread the payments for Moreno and Calafiori over the length of their contract. So that will free up some money. So we spent 30 million on Moreno? Was it 35?
Yeah.
Over over 3 years, was it? So he's a 12 million hit this year.
Yeah.
So so you got another 24 million there. So you might be able to make it add up. But I think if we're selling close to wind and you've got to pay the 65, 70 million release clause plus his signing on bonus all goes in one hit. The signing on bonus, I think you can spread because it's a bonus. But the fee, I don't know. And I don't know. None of us know what Arsenal's finances are. But I do wonder whether that's affordable. And I wonder if we're shopping in the 30 to 40, maybe 50 million pound market because of that. I don't know. But it's over a rolling 3-year period. So the club might be profitable, but it's only certain things can be deducted and what have you. I know, none of us know, but
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, guys, listen, we're gonna wrap this up. Big at everyone every single time. Thanks for your comments. But yeah, before we get out of here, I'll come to you first, Dom, my friend. Do you want to shout out your content and your channel and anything you got coming up, man?
Yeah, cheers. Tomorrow marks the 1 month anniversary of the channel, so 28 days. I am currently, or was this morning, 14 views off 1,000, which is just beyond my wildest expectations. So thanks to everyone that supported the channel. Really love the debate on this every Monday, and do check it out. Do feel free to leave me a polite comment, please. Don't leave a rude one. But if you disagree, say, like, it's what football's about. But you can find me at Arsenal Domination. There was a video today. I love those videos. They're my favourites. I said this last week, where it's not about the game so much. It's about, how do I think things can be sorted. So that's there. But, once again, thanks to you, Lee and Tim, for encouraging me to do it. I've really enjoyed the first month. And like I say, I've just blown away. Like, I know it's only 1,000 views. It's not like I'm, getting multi-millions. But for me, that's like, it's jackpot time, baby.
Yeah, guys, as always, link will be in the description every single time where you can find the panel. And Roy, man, you want to talk about your I don't think I ever got a chance to speak to you after the game, so I never got to ask you about your rebrand, man.
Yeah, basically, I've had a couple of complaints about the fact people cannot find my channel. So I decided, because I'm doing all Arsenal content, the RD12 name doesn't really link in. if that makes sense. So I decided to rebrand it, and I kind of
I wondered where the hell
bit of-
that video came from. I was like, who's that?
Yeah, I wanted to rebrand. I wanted to rebrand it to something that obviously links to Arsenal, but you know, people can still recognise me. And turns out it didn't work with Dom anyway.
Yeah, but that's because I'm thick, so don't worry about it. Like when it comes to digital stuff like this, I am like the thickest man on the planet. So you know, I wouldn't read too much into that.
Yeah, I can't lie. I kind of did take a bit of inspiration from Dom. You know, Arsenal
Really?
domination.
That's a really bad idea.
But yeah, you know, Red Army, Red RD, something to link in.
Nice.
So
Nice one, man.
yeah, that's gonna be my new channel for now. Anyway, it's the same channel, by the way.
You just
Yeah.
you rebrand.
Just decided to rebrand it. Yeah.
Nice one. Nice one.
What have you got coming up this week, Josh?
Link in description. What have we got? Great question, man.
You don't know yet. It's like you said about my
right.
next video. I've no idea because today's video, I had the idea about 5:30, recorded it
By
at
the way,
6 o'clock.
But by the way, just before we do finish, obviously, you know, I am wearing all black, so I think we should pay our respects to RD12 and you know, I'm wearing all black to pay tribute. Just, I think
To be fair, with the spike at the top of your
really
head, it looks like a condom.
Oh my god.
Rory's come with protection today. Don't worry.
Yes, Alf. It's in the description. It will be in the description.
Yeah.
I can't get my words out. I'm knackered. It will be in the description after the stream, man. But yes, I think you guys want to debate or something, so that'd be interesting, man. I don't know what happened before, but there we go. But anyway, guys,
my guy got UFO'd today, so yeah, obviously he's going to be all over the place.
Yeah, nah, man. I almost got KO'd, Rory, man. Literally, I was out for 5 minutes. Literally, blackout. I couldn't see from my eye. I thought I went blind, man. Someone literally went elbowed me, and he only got a yellow card.
It was
like, what the fuck's VAR?
I get elbowed quite a lot, but I'm quite small, so people do it by accident. But when it's deliberate, you're like, come on, mate. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, I know. He did it deliberately as well, man. Completely he looked at me and went, bosh, right, like that.
Yeah.
Did you actually ask him, like, where's VAR?
Nah, he should have been sent off, man. I'm not having it. I literally black out for 5 blind. I thought I only went blind, guys. For like,
I got concussed in one game where I jumped for the ball and someone looked round and just did that. And my brother was playing alongside me.
It was shit houses.
Yeah. Someone did it to me once in the game. And my brother was again playing. He went, I wouldn't do that. I was like, what's he going to do? He's only little. He did it 3 times. And my brother went, I really wouldn't. And literally about 2 minutes later, I absolutely nailed this kiddie. With an absolutely horrific challenge. I won the ball, but it was dangerous as fuck. I shouldn't have done it. But my brother just came over and went, I did warn you. As this kid's lying on the floor going, oh!
Who was it? Marwan Fellaini?
I couldn't miss Marian Fellaini, can you? Jesus.
No.
Everyone's big compared to me, to be fair. I'm 5'2".
Oh, Alfie, you rewind back to the start of the stream. Oh my days, I went in.
I thought you were quite calm, to be fair.
Well, that's why people call me the chill guy, innit?
I think if you want chill, I think I think I've got that down, right?
Nah, big up, guys.
Yeah, I need to go to bed. I'm on the 6 o'clock train in the morning.
Yeah, guys, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be doing.
Say hello to Isaac for me.
Yeah, make sure you say hi to Isaac as well, man.
Yeah, I will do. Yeah. Yeah,
but
he's coming the other way though. But I might catch him at Darlington.
You might catch him.
Still one of the best. At the end of a season, you got to do a compilation clip, and that better make it, Josh.
Oh my days, that'll be quality.
Someone I work with went, I don't think your eyebrows have come out the top of your head yet, have they?
But yeah, guys, we'll be back tomorrow, of course. I'll be probably doing a preview for Palace and then probably the PR conference for Arteta as well.
Why? He's not going to say it.
I know some of the questions are crazy as well.
You've got to feel for the journalist. They've got to ask, but they must be thinking, what's the point?
Exactly, man. Exactly. But yeah, we'll be back for that tomorrow, guys. Big everyone who tuned in. As always, come on, you Gunners. We're out of it.